Imagine the perfect video store. It would have a great selection, right? Right! Over 10,000 videos. 3 evening rentals, so no rush, no hassle. Fast checkout. 24-hour quick drop return. Open late every night. Well, the perfect video store.
Welcome to Blockbuster Video.
Is popping up all over the country. There's one near you.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Hello everyone and welcome to yet another episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast, the podcast that talks about movies, TV shows, video games and board games. I'm your host Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and this week's episode is slightly movie related. We're going to be talking about one of the greatest movie video rental stores ever, and that's Blockbuster Video. I myself have been working there for many years. I'm joined by a bunch of guys who have worked with me and still friends with me to this day. Guys, please introduce yourself around the table.
Hello, I'm Philip Rankin.
Hi, I'm Simon.
I'm Tim Morgan.
Hi guys, thank you for being on the show. Simon, welcome back as well.
Hey buddy, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Right, so basically, Si, do you want to talk about your podcast for a little bit quickly?
Sure, yeah, I'm one of the co-hosts of Board Stupid over on facebook.com/Board Stupid. That's BOARD. You'll also find us on Twitter and so on. Our main host is anchor.fm/Board Stupid. We talk about D&D, tabletop gaming, all manner of board games and anything else that we find awesome.
Nice, and I believe Phil and Tim, you're going to be on your way to the podcast road at some point soon?
We're starting to build the house, which is the podcast industry thing. So we are currently in the first stages.
Nice, nice. We look forward to that, man.
Yeah,
look forward to it. So yeah,
another guest opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait to be on that. So yeah, guys, basically Blockbusters. You know? Yeah.
Wow.
We all been there. We all done that.
Oh,
we all miss it.
Blockbuster Video as it was when
It
we
was.
started.
It was when I started.
Yeah.
I don't even actually remember when it just was Blockbuster. Do you remember the
I was
year?
just trying to remember when the video dropped off the end. I guess it was early 2000s.
They were saving ink on the printout for the magazines, weren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't think it was there when I... Yeah, it was definitely early 2000s.
Yeah, so when did you start, Anne? It was 2000, did you say?
Yeah, so basically the episode is going to be about Blockbuster Crawley, which is the one that we all... That's our store. And I started there in November of 2000, and I honestly never thought I was going to get the job.
Why is that?
Because, long story short, I was in college at the time. I was still a student, and I finished making one of my music videos at the time. And then what I had to do, my interview was like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I had to finish the shoot, wrap up. I'm in combat trousers and a Miami Dolphins top with my college bag, running over to there, and I literally got to Blockbusters, and they were like, "Hi, I'm here for the interview," and they were like, "Okay, he's busy with another guy. We'll be out in a second. Just take a seat or not." And as the guy came out, he's suited, booted, and he's like, no like
way.
he's guaranteed got the job. And there's me like, fuck's sake, I'm in this poxy Miami Dolphins top. There's no way I'm going to get this.
Yeah.
So I went and did it. And did you know Steve?
I only very briefly met Steve. I don't think these guys knew him.
Steve Wellham. And I don't know if you guys ever met him or not,
No,
but he was a very kooky manager at the time. And
It's Blockbuster, of course.
Oh man, full on perv as well at the time. But that's another episode.
Can't speak to that.
Yeah. So anyway, did the interview, went home, and about 8 o'clock at night, he rang up and said I got the job, and I was like, oh my God, yes. I don't know how I'd done it, but I'd done it.
Yeah, I suppose for you, same to me, it'd be one of, if not the first job interviews you go for. So you kind of get that pressure of, oh God, I'm really nervous. And you work there for like a week, and why was I worried? These guys are about as not as unprofessional as you can get, but
Yeah, totally.
it's not like it's a high level position.
What about you guys? Do you have any memories about your interview there? Or?
I started, I think, I don't quote me on this, but it was about 2002 / maybe 2003. I was just going to Red Hill College to study moving image and film. And so I thought it was a good idea to get a job which was sort of coinciding with my likes. Blockbuster came on the horizon because I was currently working down the road at Tesco, which for anyone who's worked at Tesco's previously knows it sucks arse. So I thought I'll make the jump up the road to Blockbuster. I had my interview by Leo Neal.
Good old Lee.
Leon, yeah.
He's a big Superman fan and obviously a
big time.
comic fan, so we got on straight away. Obviously, other people in store that I can name that were there at the time. Simon obviously was there. Alex, Ed, Mark, Karen, Grant, Lucy. Yeah, there was. They're all very welcoming.
I'm watching Ant's face for a reaction when the name of Lucy is mentioned. Hi, Lucy, if you're listening.
Hi, Lucy. If you're
Hello.
listening. Hi.
Yeah, I had my interview with the big G, the Chief, Grant. I started 24th of March 2001. I remember that specifically. Started the same day as Mark's sister, Nikki. I don't know if you guys...
Yeah, I remember.
remember Nikki. I'm not sure the rest of you worked with her particularly.
No, that's like first generation. We're like second.
You're the
third.
Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And we were fairly new into that building, I think, in the late 90s, because there used to be a store over in Tilgate. Is that right, Anne?
We had two, there was one in Tilgate, which is very, very small.
Video
very,
stores.
very small. Yeah.
So I remember there was one in town, which was where the kebab shop is now, and it used to have like a newsagent's next to it and a video store. And then I knew there was, well, for any adults out listening, there was one round the corner. Everyone knows where it is. I'm not going to name it.
Not Blockbusters, though.
And
These are just indies you're on about.
Yeah, kind of like, and I remember going into that video store. I still have very fond memories of it because it was like had like Big Trouble in Little China, standees and Alien thing. That's what kind of crept my interest into kind of like the more distorted form of cinema.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was helpful. But M.T.V.B as well. Where is it? Milton Mount. They had like a video section, so I was a big video applicant from a very young age. So working at Blockbuster.
I think we all were, to be honest, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you came up to Empire Video and Gossips, Tim, or...
Open to midnight, this is Mark.
No, there was a video rental store in Bubish called Smoky Videos.
Oh, Smokies, of course, the classics. Still there, I think, although not doing videos anymore.
No, I think the name is still there, but I remember my code, because everyone had a code, and mine was 4282.
I think my Empire was 2401.
Mine was 2622.
Oh, we know our combinations.
Speaking of numbers, though, 457363, Fran?
That's me, yeah.
Go on.
60777.
Yeah.
Tim, you're 61 something, but I don't remember the specifics.
Oh, that's going to bug me.
These are our
6193.
These are our membership numbers, by the way.
Yeah.
People don't understand
I
what
think
the
it's
number is going.
Officially aficionados of the Blockbuster company.
We can tell we missed the shit out of this place.
48315.
48315.
And these numbers get drilled into your head.
I know that because I used to use your account for discounts so many times.
Well, anytime you log into the manager's menu, anytime you're logging into a till system, you had to type ID space, your number, and then your password. So we were typing these things dozens of times a day. So it's still in the muscle memory, I'm sure. If I tried to log into a Blockbuster system.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure,
Everyone came across this and I've never had an answer for it. What was Telepizza?
No idea.
It was a code. It was a code within, I think, the store.
The operating system.
The operating system was made in what, 1985?
It was copyrighted in 1983, I think, because it was the same year as my birthday. I'm getting old, guys.
So when it crashed, you had to phone someone who was on like an outsource to kind of like patch into it to fix it.
Yeah, essentially all they did was steal it from take it from the US because we were a franchise essentially from the original Blockbuster in the US. And they just merged it. So they had a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. And occasionally when they do effectively a firmware update, they'd pull in these random things that we'd never use in the UK. But you'd end up with weird shit like Telepizza. And like, what exactly is
I think it was a marketing deal for like Pizza Hut and movies or
it must
something
have
with
been,
Blockbuster.
exactly.
We never got
there
it.
must have been at some point,
You've seen a code on TV, you get a
free pizza or something. What about you, Tim? Your interview experience?
Oh, right.
Do you remember it at all?
Yeah, well, technically, I've got an official and an unofficial time when I started.
Go on,
so the very first time was actually in school when when you had work experience.
Yeah, of course.
So I chose Blockbuster.
Oh, no way.
So my first, it was in 1997.
Oh, wow.
So when I was there, I had to work there for 2 weeks. Obviously, non-payment, obviously,
of course,
because you'd have the experience. And a strapping young fellow called Mark Gates.
Yeah.
He was
old Mark.
He was the supervisor, and he had curtains.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
He had curtains.
I remember that, Mark.
Yeah. I can't remember the manager that was there at the time. It's like Parker, something like that. I can't remember. But there was an old lady, I think, called Wendy. No. There was an old lady there as well, and there was a redhead girl that was just all over Mark when I was there. But yeah, that was my first actual experience. But then in 2003. I obviously applied to work there. Grant was my interviewer at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was weird with the manager thing because Grant was manager, was replaced by someone, and then he came back to be manager. Didn't he at one
He went
point?
to Staples, didn't he?
Was that where we're in?
Yeah,
He went somewhere, but also when I started, he interviewed me, but he wasn't officially the manager there. It was still Steve. And Grant was managing...
Steve never showed up, so that's probably why.
Well, that's the thing, I think
Yeah.
Grant was managing either Burgess Hill or Haywards Heath store,
Yeah.
but came over to do the interviews.
I think Steve was
Still
one
does
that trained me.
anything.
Oh, really?
And then came back officially once. We had Andy there for a while. Don't know if you remember Andy.
Yeah, I remember
Sage.
Andy.
And that was the switch over from VHS
That's what I'm saying,
to
yeah, because he
DVD,
had
but-
he was there that took it. I can't remember why Grant... He didn't leave, did he? He just changed the
I'm sure
store
he
like
would-
Phil
Yeah.
said.
I think he
Yeah.
was doing like store training and stuff, so
That's
he went
it.
off and did other bits.
Yeah,
Right,
that is
okay.
it.
And then Andy started doing that kind of thing, and
Store training.
well, yeah, essentially.
Well, no, yeah, because...
Well, this was during this was the heyday of Blockbuster. We were opening new stores quite rapidly, and they needed someone to go and just basically get a whole bunch of new people and go, "This is how you operate Blockbuster."
Did anyone go
Socially
to
integrate
the
them.
training in Leatherhead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Leatherhead?
Yeah, it was Leatherhead, because I remember
I went
going
there.
with... What's her name? Who used to do Halo Nights with us?
Gemma?
Gemma, that's
Yeah.
it, yeah. She used to... I had to go down there
Oh,
with her.
yeah.
Gemma.
Me and you did that.
Yeah, we did that. We got
Yeah.
nothing out of it.
No.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
did.
Pointless exercise.
It was so funny
It was a
because
day
I
out.
literally did the classroom thing and I failed on everything. But then when I went on the store floor, they were like, "Oh my god, you can tell you've been working in a Blockbuster." I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, yeah, because it's not done in a classroam; it's done out on the
it's
shop
not
floor,
done
isn't
there,
it?" So
Exactly.
don't mind that. So when you guys started your job, did you start off? Can you remember what you started off as? I mean, I personally remember I either did the Dropbox, rewound tapes, or restocked shelves.
Similar, apart from rewinding. No, we did have a tape rewinder, didn't we?
Yeah, we had two specific machines that all they did was rewind VHS.
Yeah, you literally popped it in, flapped it down, and it rewound, didn't it?
Do you remember the TV and video combo we used to have behind the till?
Of course.
And on certain days when it was like Thursday or something on nights, I'd put on the Goonies DVD and just play the music video from it.
Yes, of course I remember that.
The Cyndi
good
Lauper
enough?
one.
Good enough.
That's
With,
it.
Lil Albano in it. Yeah.
But yeah, we all started, I think, when VHS was still a thing, so actual tapes.
Yeah.
That's
VHS
why
was the
I
big boy when I
applied.
started.
I was essentially unemployed at the time. I was working one day a week in Argos, and I was going to Virgin Megastore. I mean, this is such
Yeah.
a retro episode. I went to Virgin Megastore and I was buying. They were doing 5 for £20 or 5 for £30
Oh, nice.
on VHS.
Yeah.
And I was just buying so many videos to keep me entertained for the 6 days a week that I wasn't
Yeah,
working.
absolutely.
This is obviously well before the days of YouTube or Netflix, anything like that. There was
had
no
nothing.
streaming.
Yeah.
So,
Pre-internet
like,
days.
if you didn't own the thing, then you were watching TV, and TV was and still
Was-
is
was-
pretty rubbish.
Yeah, it wasn't on demand back then, was it? Really?
Yeah, so I was going out and I was buying a whole bunch of new movies every week to keep up, and I suddenly thought, you know what? I'm going to go and try and work in a video store where I don't need to buy these things. I've just got access
I can just
to
really
them.
rent
Exactly.
them.
I went along and like, oh, you hiring? And it was Louise was working there. Said, yeah, we are. You remember
Louise, I used to work with her
yeah,
weekends. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dropping a CV. I'm like, oh, damn, I don't have a CV. And I live the other side of town, and at the age of, I think I've just turned 17 at this point. I was like, okay, I'll go all the way home, come all the way back on my bike or walking or whatever it was. I spent half a day seemingly just to drop off a CV. Didn't hear anything for a few days. Got the call. Must have been from Grant saying, "Oh, do you want to come in?" Yeah. It was a hot day like it was today, so I remember getting there really overheated. My sleeves. I tried to dress smart.
Yeah,
but
you've got to dress smart.
Even then, I was like sleeves
First
rolled up,
impressions are
an extra button undone, just trying to not melt. And then I saw Grant in a pair of shorts. I'm like, I'll be fine. Yeah, never looked back.
What about you, Tim? You remember
How the interview went.
No. How you? What did you do when you started off at Blockbuster? Would you just?
Dropboxing. I was doing till training. You trained me, actually.
Did I really?
Yes, you did.
Oh, that explains it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Oh
yeah.
wow, sweet.
Yeah,
so
you trained me.
We're all
Um,
CSRs to start
yeah,
with, customer
and-
service
yeah,
representatives.
And in fact, I remember my first ever rental I took from there. And I remember you saying, which going to be your first rental?
What
That's
was,
the thing you
what
told
was
me.
Is it
everybody's
really?
first
Yeah, yeah,
rental? Just
yeah.
get this out of the way. What
Yeah,
was yours?
so mine was Battle Royale.
Oh, classic.
That was my first rental.
Great movie.
Yeah. Because at that time, everything that was new out, I'd already seen. So, and for first
a damn good film,
for
though.
first rental, because I just got into old cinema at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I was into my foreign films, and I wanted to see Battle Royale.
Yeah, nice. It's a
And
good choice.
I
man.
heard it was good, and that was my first rental.
Mine's nothing compared to that. mine's Deuce Bigelow Male Gigolo. That was my first ever rental, and that was on VHS as well.
My one was Elmo and Grouchland.
For real?
Amazing.
Because Karen, who was working there at the time, was obviously like, scoping me out and hazing me and wanted to know that I was a good representative to be on the Blockbuster brand. And he was like, I'm going to check your account to see what you rented first. So I was like, well, now I know he's like stooging me off. I'm just going to rent the most like ridiculous title in store. And at the time, it just felt like the natural thing to do.
I feel that set a worrying precedent for the rest of your
life. I think straight after that, it was like, your Terminators and your Aliens and your Jurassic Park and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to say I don't remember. I remember my first purchase was Roll Cage on the PlayStation. We were selling off an ex-rental copy, so I was well happy to buy that. Yeah. I think my first VHS rental there was Biodome, starring Paulie Shaw and Stephen Baldwin.
I love that movie.
I love that film. It's so cheesy. If you've never watched it, guys,
it's like utter shit now, but back then it was
it's
really
awesome.
good.
It's defo off that time.
It's the epitome of kind of mid to late
90s.
definitely stoner comedy, and I love it. So yeah, I think that was my first one. The cover was facing the window. At this point, we still had actual windows.
Was this when the covers were sun-dyed?
So sun bleached, you could barely read the title. Yeah,
black and white, pretty much.
Yeah, they were faded to the point.
I remember our horror section was pretty much in the sun, and it was just
that was the cooked section.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was about 4 years where we didn't have any air conditioning from when I started.
True, yeah.
We had these massive units up in the loft and on the roof that were utterly dead. They were decrepit and condemned. But never ever got any air conditioning fixed. No. So we absolutely roasted the entire store. If you're not familiar with it, it's where Iceland now is for a modern reference. So you had about 60 feet down one side, which is nothing but floor to ceiling glass with no air conditioning inside. It was genuinely like
literally the sun facing in all the time as well, wasn't it?
It was
absolutely.
So half the store was melted to the point where stuff actually caught fire. One of the fridges set on fire because it got so overheated.
Really?
The wiring
I remember a few fridges used to blow, and when we put the Ben & Jerry's out, whatever, it would just be liquid.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was because of that half the time.
Yeah, that was one of the occasions I remember. It just got so stupidly hot in there.
I didn't like it when they completely blacked it out. I felt like I'm a person who needs a bit of like open space, so I don't feel so enclosed. It's not like I'm claustrophobic or agoraphobic. It's just I need like to see the sun.
Yeah.
And know it's a different day, otherwise it gets a bit Groundhog Day.
So it's definitely an adjustment that needs to be made. And yeah, you're right. On the darker days when you get in at
you need
in at 9 and you're leaving at 3, and that's the only light period unless you walk down to the front of the shop.
Yeah, it affects my mentality.
Yeah, because we basically need UV light. Not fake light, technically.
Yeah,
a bit of UV light coming in the store, a bit of like less claustrophobic.
Yeah, but it was a decision that was made well beyond our thoughts.
Explains why I tan so easily.
They didn't put that bit in the training video about like being cooked alive inside the shop. Do you know what I mean?
Or what do you do when one of the freezers blows up?
Yeah.
Do you remember the freezer that made that constant noise every morning?
Yeah, there was nothing we could do about it. Yeah. Unless we turn music
fan.
up in
It was
the
a fan or something. It was like a rusted fan.
Yep.
Just kept making that.
I took it apart as many times as I could. But. So
So
early days, Dropbox was mentioned. So what was...
Cool not doing Dropbox?
Cool not doing it.
You're cool not doing everything.
But I still did it. and I was quick at doing it.
We're going to come into that, so don't go into it just yet.
Yeah, so Dropbox is literally as it sounds. At the front of the store, it had a big post box, and it would be full sometimes, to the point where, unbelievably, you'd come in the morning, and it'd be so full that people's videos would be sticking out of the top. Imagine a post box so full that you couldn't get another letter in.
Yeah, guaranteed every Boxing Day. Yeah.
But people
you had to leave
still
it open.
Try and stuff it in, and you think, well, before we get here, we're not responsible for you leaving your video hanging out. So if it disappears overnight, which it did, so yeah, we'd open it from the inside, and it was definitely big enough for a person because a number of people were locked inside that thing.
But the old design used to have, so you had one outside, but you had a Dropbox inside as well.
Yes.
Literally as soon as you walk in. But going on to that later on, where they changed, when we had it, ran the till, didn't we? And the newer design. But we'll go into that anyway later. So did you all become managers in the end?
I technically wasn't.
And obviously Simon did. I remember Phil running the shop a few times.
I was a shift runner and a key holder.
Okay,
that's what I was.
So it's a kind of unglamorous way of saying
here's
some responsibility with no extra money.
I was going to say you're not getting paid for it.
The Blockbuster way.
It was work experience, even though you had the job.
Yeah, it's something to just trot around town with, going fucking shift
Look
runner.
at me, I got the keys to Blockbuster.
Oh, right, Phil, do you remember your first time opening the store for the first time?
I don't remember specifics, but I just remember how I would do it, and I would come in, and obviously I lived in Maidenbow at the time, and I'd listen to my music, and I'd put that music in store as well, and just have a coffee and do all the where the money was, the paperwork till, put that all in, get that all sorted, because that was obviously important. Yeah. That's why I'm there.
Yeah.
And Si was going to come in at 3, so he's going to kick my ass if I didn't.
And I literally did have to kick both of these guys' asses for not having
He says that, but he just loved the authority.
Didn't he? Yeah. Especially if the delivery wasn't done in time.
Yeah.
God,
Like, why are these bottles of Coke still out in the shop?
You guys killed me. You really did.
We did our best.
But did you take assistant manager or?
No, assistant manager. I was busy with
Phil.
Phil's, yeah. But I remember my first time opening the store, bricking it because the manager's door wouldn't open. And
Shit.
so I think it was either you or Grant had the key.
Okay.
And I ended up ringing Grant. And
Like the back office key?
Yeah, and he still had it.
Okay.
So it wasn't actually your fault?
No, but then I kept worrying, like, oh my God, I've forgotten something. And I thought the key they gave me, so I tried every key and it still wouldn't open the door.
Yeah.
But there's 2 keys.
What, the manager's office?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do a guff in the office and then lock that slowly while Grant was inside. And then obviously wait for him to tweak. And just behind the glass of the door, remember?
It's so weird because we never used to have a manager's office.
No, there was no such thing.
We never used to have one, did we?
No, that was shop floor when we started, before the redesign. Yeah. We had the manager's bay down the front.
Yeah.
So essentially there's an indoor and an outdoor, and the till was almost immediately in front of you. And then off to that exit side there was another, and it was just a large chunk of chipboard wall, about 5 foot high, behind which there was a few cupboards for storage, and it's where we did cashing up and stuff if we needed to. But there's nothing stopping people just leaning over and going, excuse me, I've got nowhere else to go. Can you leave me alone? I mean, you'd be sitting on the floor, so you were out of sight trying to hide behind this.
We've got those high-rise plastic screens to keep the riffraff out.
That was a much more recent addition.
Yeah.
That was only after certain incidences that occurred there. But yeah, it used to be just a case, I can see you're on your break. That should be where that sentence ends. But you're going to continue, aren't you? I've got 20 minutes in my 8-hour shift to sit down and eat this sandwich. But carry on.
Yeah.
Please do carry on.
Remember, you literally had 20 minutes, but then you still walk down the road 20 minutes to get a kebab or whatever, and then still come back and eat it. It was like, you grab a Family Guy DVD to watch or something at the same time. I remember that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the amount of years you guys have been there, have you got any funny stories to talk about, or any certain people you want to talk about?
There's a few, I suppose.
Go for it.
And there was a time I was in the kitchen/office where the game station back office was, remember? Yeah. And I was on break or something, and because there's a door frame, Grant came swinging around the door, holding onto the door frame, and he literally punched me as hard as he could in the arm. Were you there for that? Where he made me turn white as a sheet?
I don't remember the specifics. But...
And I literally went into... was it anaphylactic shock?
Why did he punch you?
No, because it's Grant, innit? Like,
all right, okay, yeah.
Oh, just a bit of banter.
You are so wet, Phil.
Yeah, but I was standing there, kind of like just having a conversation with someone, and I didn't realise, when you get hit out of nowhere, you don't realise. And I was literally just like, oh my God, like I was starting to distance myself from reality, and I couldn't go onto the shop floor for a good hour because I was just completely. Honestly, he punched me. My body just reacted in a way which I wasn't comfortable with. I just couldn't do nothing about it. I just shut down.
Bloody hell. Yeah. Back in the days when there was no such thing as first for lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not being able to go on the shop floor for an hour, I remember coming in one Saturday afternoon to see Anthony running down the length of the store. Wow. And I was thinking, what the hell has happened to him? And I asked Louise, and she's like, either someone else or possibly you, I can't remember, had a nosebleed.
Yes, it was me.
And you...
Yeah. I was on the till at the time as well, right in front of a customer.
I thought you'd been shot or something.
Place for it.
I'd never seen Anthony move so fast before.
If anyone who doesn't know me and is listening to this, I pretty much pass out at the sight of my own blood. And unfortunately, I was born with very weak blood vessels in my nose. If I violently sneeze, just a shitload of blood pops out. And I literally done this in front of a customer. I didn't even finish up the till. I literally grabbed my nose, walked around the till, and ran straight out. I left Louise all on her own, bless her.
Yeah, no, I was just walking in at this point, and this was back, as I say, back in the old store.
Yeah, so it was one end to the other, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the till was right at the front, and this store, as I say, is about 60 feet long, so it's not a small shop. And the queue must have been...
Yeah, it was a weekend, because that was the only time me and Louise worked.
Deep.
Yeah.
So they were, you were running past this parade of people, just...
Absolutely,
the classic head turn after head turn.
I was shitting myself, because I didn't want to pass out in front of everyone.
I was like, what's happening? So then I essentially just dropped my bag and came in where you left off.
Yeah.
And like, hi Louise, I guess I'll be on the till. And then I was there for an hour or more. Like,
was it that long?
I feel like it was that long. I was like, I guess I'll start at some. I guess I'll
exaggerate.
I guess I'll log in or something.
10 minutes, if that.
I don't know. It felt like forever. But back in the day, that was like the worst thing for me. Was working on a Saturday evening.
I know a few people hated it, but I loved it. I loved Saturday and Sunday nights at Blockbuster.
Yeah. If I had the right setup, I agree.
Phil's nodding his head and saying, no, I hated it, but I loved it, man.
It was triple or quadruple amount of work for the same amount of pay.
True.
But the time went quick.
Well,
yeah,
say that, but I was always on, like, my mind was always worrying about the Tottenham results and stuff, and I could never watch it because I was always working 3 till 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
the thing is though, with our town, which is obviously Crawley, a new cinema had just opened at the time as well, whilst we all started, and basically Blockbuster was like a fallout. If people couldn't get a ticket to a cinema, they would go to Blockbusters and just get in a massive queue. And
you get the 9:30 rush when we're about to close.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, back when Anne and I started, the store was open from 10 in the morning until 11
at night,
which just sounds
that's insane.
And this is where the Blockbuster promise took advantage. Yeah. You'll back me up on this. Every Sunday night at 10 to 11, you get a bunch of same group of guys that come in every weekend and look for a specific movie. They didn't care what movie was. They just made sure there was no copies of it, and they could guarantee they would get it for free next time. Perfect Storm. You got none left, mate. And 10 to 11, I get a free copy next time. Yeah. That's how they did it.
Yeah. It was a good deal, I think. A lot of people misunderstood it because they thought it was literally any film, and it was always, obviously only the top 10, I think, that it applied to.
Yeah.
A great offer, though. I mean, what better way of getting people in the store than guaranteeing that they'll get it now or get it free next time? So a great offer.
That was the first film I stacked up as well. Was The Perfect Storm. Fuck of a movie, but Jesus, we had so many copies of it.
One of the first ones I remember processing, although it might not be correct, it might just be what my memory's keeping, is What Women Want.
Oh,
yeah, I had so many copies of that, and on VHS as well. And so many people don't appreciate how much actual work went into videotapes.
Yeah.
When we got copies of videos in back in the day, we would get rental copies, which were specific. They weren't the retail copy you'd pick up in the store. Because there used to be a rental window, so we'd pay upwards of £30 per copy of a video for the rental license, which would then mean we could charge whatever it was, $3.50 a night for it.
$3.75.
Yeah. So we'd need to rent out each copy of a video would need to go out 9 or 10 times before we started making money on it.
Yeah.
So to make sure we didn't lose that shit, we had to unwrap every copy, obviously, because who cared about plastic recycling back then? So we'd get 100+ copies of these things delivered, unwrap them all, and then have to apply the Be Kind Rewind sticker on the left-hand side, the black strip magnetic security strip on the right-hand side, and then the silver Blockbuster sticker in the middle.
There was 3, wasn't there?
So for every single copy, we had to spend probably a minute per tape minimum applying all of these stickers, then finding the rental box, because it didn't go out in the picture box it came in, it had a rental sleeve.
Yep.
And then matching all of those up. And it was all a manual process every single time. And we had 10 new movies a week easily. So there's like up to 1,000 videos that 1 or 2 people made.
The DVDs weren't any better because you had to write the numbers on top of the on the top of the
thing. We went through a lot of variations with the DVD, although I feel they were slightly more streamlined, less sticker based.
Yeah, true.
So they got us to re-sticker the stickers we've just re-stickered.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
And we were like, we've just done this. No, but we're doing a 3 for 10 deal. And then last week it was 3 for 11, and the week before it was 3 for 12. It was just like, come on, just stick to a price. Yeah. Just throw in some Haagen-Dazs this week. Do 2 popcorn the next week.
That's what they did, though, didn't they?
Well, yeah, it came to a point where we were almost at competition with each other on
correct,
the tills
yeah.
to sell as many bundle deals as possible.
Yep.
And it was an easy cash-in sale, especially with the popcorn or Haagen-Dazs or even any of the sweet
Extra
bags.
£2 or something, wasn't it?
But you'd
Just
always say to someone, they would get the 2 movies, and you would say, yeah, but if you get a third, you get it cheaper, and you get this, and you get that. And they're like, nah. And you're like, look, just get this film. You would obviously just suggest whatever the kind of most rented film, Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever.
Yeah.
And say, just get this film. You don't have to watch it. It just gives you a cheaper deal, so you can write it on your little thing afterwards and feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of badgering you'd need to do to convince someone that it would cost them less money
Yeah.
to do the thing. Do you want a bottle of Coke? It costs you minus £2. No thanks. Like, okay, it's £12 as it is. Okay. Or you can get a bottle of Coke, and it'll cost you £10. No, I don't want it.
You're saving.
Just give it to me. Buy it, give it to me as a tip
Yeah.
for
Well,
my
we did.
general
That's what we ended up doing. We ended up, and I don't know about the ethic nature of this or not. I don't see any problem with it because they still saved money. We just kept it. So if they didn't want the second bottle of Coke or whatever it was, we scan it through the till, do the deal.
Yeah, it's a salad.
And we'd end up with a little stash of our own drinks. I think.
But going back to
I think it's reasonable.
the thing you were saying about the tape stickering and whatnot, was you might obviously you was there, weren't you? They stopped doing that at one point, and then we had to put tags on the boxes. They're like a long yellow tag.
yellow strip
yellow
tag.
tag.
That's it, and you had to push it down and then pull it out.
You had a special key in the area
Yeah.
to kind
That's
of
it.
I
click
think
it
they were
on.
called Peg It.
Is that what they're called?
I think so, yeah.
And then there was the red ones with the DVDs.
That's right.
Red
Yeah.
tag was a lot more common. But
Yeah.
those yellow ones were a
Because
pain in the
DVD
arse.
used to have, when it first came out, dummy boxes. Do you remember that? That's how you
Yep.
used to take it there, you get to the drawer and you swap it over, wouldn't you? And then, like Phil said, they brought in the red tag.
But they still got
Yeah.
nicked. People would still come in and you could still see where the plastic's been completely ripped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
And you would go, but why is it worth it for, like, you know, whatever the film was at the time? Like, I understand they're bored, but like...
Wasn't it just 2 magnets either end and you can pull the tag out or something?
Yeah, if you had a strong magnet, or you just obviously rip the plastic
Yeah.
apart.
Tim, you got any funny stories?
Funny story. Kind of a bad experience, but it's on my own doing. So,
Go on then.
It was, so on a few occasions, I would come into the store hungover.
What? Surely not.
Not that often, but there was a time when it was really bad, and I'd opened the store early, and I had about an hour's sleep.
You smelled like Robert Downey Jr. when
Pretty
you come in.
much, yeah. So I was pretty much cooked, and then there was only one staff member in the morning, so I pretty much had to run the whole shift. And the only time when more people came in was at 12 o'clock, and there was 2 more staff members.
Yep.
And that's when I get my break. So at across the road, there was a kebab shop. So I thought, right, I need greasy food for this hangover for my break. That's going to cure me up. So I'll get a double cheeseburger with chips and chili sauce. And in the back room, we would have a TV monitor with a DVD player. And I, on some occasions, would bring my own DVDs in. There was one we used to watch all the time, which I left in, which was Tom Green, Subway Monkey Hour.
Classic.
That thing lived in that.
That pretty much lived
didn't it?
in that room. So whenever anyone was on lunch breaks, you would pop that DVD in and have a good laugh and just pop. So I thought that would be good with my hangover with this cheeseburger. But being that I was so half asleep, half tired, no energy whatsoever, I'm kind of going in blind with the TV and DVD player. So I'm opening the DVD player, and I'm about to put in what I thought's the DVD, and I'm in that, because I'm so hungover, I don't realise what I'm doing. I'm putting my cheeseburger in the DVD player, and I'm like, why is it not? Oh.
This is what I had to deal with on a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen. I'd then be the poor bugger coming in at 3 p.m. to do the closing shift and go, what on earth has happened all day?
Not to put myself over, I was okay when I was hungover most days. That one was the worst because, like I said, hour sleep and lots of alcohol the night before and no food for a while. So I was kind of hallucinated, and I ended up putting a cheeseburger in a DVD player.
My God.
The DVD player still worked, so not a total loss.
It wasn't, it wasn't that big, not big loss.
They were good lads over at the kebab shop. We almost had a kind of two-way deal with them, didn't we, at some point? So.
Well, I remember years ago we made a deal with the guy that worked the Chippy, or we made a deal with one of those guys that we can.
Right.
It was the chicken guy, chicken shop guys.
Yeah.
If we gave him a free movie, we obviously get free chicken next time, whatever it was.
That was
so,
it.
Yeah, we'd get 10 free rentals a week.
Yeah, so it was no skin off our backs, but it never used to be
money.
10 though, did it? It used to be 7, didn't it? At one point,
varied,
One a day.
It was I think that was it, wasn't it? It was one a day. But then people would come in and they'd ask you about new movies, and I mean, I think compared to you three, I didn't watch anywhere near as many films. But they'd always expect you to have seen every single thing, and I'd say to them, like, there's 14 new DVDs out this week.
Well, why haven't you seen Pride and Prejudice 2?
Yeah. And they say, then you get to watch them free. Like, well, yeah, but you'll notice that when you came in yesterday to rent a movie, I was here. And then when you came in on Saturday to rent a movie, I was here. And it's a full-time job.
No.
And we close at 11. It takes us till midnight to close the store.
And we've only got a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
I then go home. I get home by 1 in the morning. I try and go to bed. I then maybe wake up at midday, 1 p.m. to then go back to work for 3. When you expected me to watch 14 movies? We don't stand here watching them. And it's a massive misconception, I think, that people thought we stood around or sat around. Because that's what I think in the local video store, like My Empire or Capital or whatever, or down at Smokies, they'd have a video on in the background and they'd kind of lean on the counter and they'd wait for someone to
we
come
weren't
in.
ever allowed to do that, were we? We always had to have BBTV.
Yeah.
It was corporate. We had to have the in-store advertisement going on.
That's it.
24/7. And that was
Constantly hearing the same fucking thing every time.
Yeah.
But we did have the luxury of renting movies early. This is where we get to talk to customers about it when it's released. So we used to get them, like, I think 3 days early.
As soon as they were delivered, really.
It came
Get them on
in.
the system.
And obviously we were allowed free rentals. 10 free rentals a week we were allowed. So whenever new releases came out each week, you had about 2 or 3 big ones that came out, and then you had like about 4 or 5 small titles, like independent titles. But yeah, you'd have that luxury to watch them before movies came out, and then it was kind of a homework assignment plus free rentals. And it's like, you know, you want to do that.
True.
So that's what me and Phil used to do quite a lot. We would always rent whichever film was out a week early.
One would be the big premiere blockbuster type film, you know, whether it's The Day the Earth Stood Still or something along those lines, and then the other side would be a silly stoner film,
or world cinema film,
or a game rental,
or independent comedy.
A few flippant DVDs, so you can obviously pile on a few choices.
And then, we'd watch those, and that was our, like I said, we was working at home as well as there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because I was like, I love movies. So.
Yeah, but don't forget, we was all moviegoers as well. So
Obviously,
we obviously saw
obsessed.
the cinema stuff before, so we kind of had some film knowledge of
Exactly.
what it was. But other, like you said, Simon, wasn't every, I haven't seen The Business or something.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of stuff that I never saw, never had any intention of seeing either. So I'd have to rely on.
But that's why it made us stronger as a team.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's
Everyone
very
knew
true.
something
Team
about
player.
something.
I think that's one of the things that genuinely is missing currently. You know, people can recommend stuff on Netflix, but it's not the same as going into
Word of mouth is much more valuable.
Yeah,
I always find that
going
with
into a
music.
place and having that conversation and going, what did you? And, Netflix has got an algorithm. YouTube's got an algorithm that says you watch this, so maybe watch this because other people. But there's nothing
that's
like,
only on their certain selection of what they have.
There's nothing like having that conversation and going, "Oh, did you? Wait, you saw that thing? Oh, if you've seen that thing, then try this thing." And it's quite possibly juxtaposed wildly to what the other thing was, but because you've seen both, you've got that familiarity, and you go. And then you turn people onto their new favourite film, and that was one of the best things ever.
Yeah.
When you're working the next day or a couple of days later, and
Well, it's like I mentioned
Steve
to
comes
you.
back in and he goes, "Mate, that film you recommend is bloody awesome. I'm going to watch the entire director's back catalogue, whatever." And I'm like,
What was the film?
I can't remember any specifics.
Avatar.
No, man, no. This is the world cinema or the the thing where you get 4 copies of. Where we get 180 copies of Avatar. We get 4 copies of the new Wes Anderson flick or something. Like, how have we only got 4 copies of this?
But there was what I found to be like, what do you call it? Rites of passage, where you've almost like you're going to be tested by people in store and your customers, and you're going to have a little bit of a plethora of understanding of world cinema and the big blockbuster stuff and all the kind of in between, even romantic comedies to sci-fi to horror. You've got to have a little bit of understanding because people will test you. And if they go, "What's your favourite film?" For me, Back to the Future Part 2, no question about it. But
Great fucking movie.
I would never say that all the time because obviously after a while you'd be like, "Oh no, this is my new favourite film," or "This is my new favourite film." You never really existed in a kind of
that's the subtlety and the skill of being a true blockbuster person is not just going either just going this this is number 1 this week, rent this. That's going to happen
stay
anyway.
current, stay on trend.
You don't need to recommend James Bond.
No.
James Bond is going to sell itself.
Yeah.
You need to recommend the the independent
It's
movie or
when
the
you get the
straight to
customer
DVD, straight
that
to
comes
DVD
back
movie.
and goes, "Oh mate, that film you suggested, it's proper shit," and I'll be like, "Yeah, but it's everyone's different. Everyone has a different perception."
Also, a very good tactic, sorry Tim, a very good tactic when you don't want to talk to their customer again, to recommend something they'll hate, because then they won't ask you for recommendations anymore. I did that on a good few occasions, going, this person will absolutely hate this movie. And it's not that I want them to waste their money. It might have been an add-on, like where it's a 3 for £5. They're already spending £4.50. Like, well, I'll offer them the offer. If they don't know what to get, I'll offer them this thing.
Just say, get the Hain.
I'm kind of sick of talking to them because they are genuinely wasting my time. Yeah. Because I got delivery that Tim didn't process.
Hey. Hey. It's like it was like the movies became personality traits for not just staff, customers as well. And so for example, who remembers Prison Movie Guy?
Of course. Who doesn't remember Prison Movie Guy?
Yeah. Now, what movies would he like to see?
Anything.
Shawshank.
Yeah, no. He wants real prison movies.
Deep.
Yeah. He wanted like The Escapist is what I remember recommending him, and he said, "Mate, that wasn't a prison movie."
Yeah, I can't even think of things that were.
And I was like, "Dude, that's my opinion, but yours is you can have yours." Yeah, sure.
It literally is a movie.
Yeah.
Set in prison. The
It
whole
is, yeah.
fucking film.
Yeah, but you get silly requests like, "Oh mate, what's that film with Danny Dyer where he's like hunting ghosts?"
Oh my god!
Sort your life.
Yeah.
There was a customer I was very confused with. She had a very strong accent, and she was trying to pronounce a movie which I could not figure out for the life of me. And she said it so quickly and fast, and she was quite not there. But she would say, "Excuse me, you got the movie the casserole."
Casserole?
And I was like, "Sorry?" Like, yeah, the movie,
Shakala.
movie, casserole. I was like casserole, and I was like trying to think, what does that sound like? And I was like, oh, Casanova, because that literally came out a month before.
The
Heath Ledger film. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm walking over to the aisle, the drama section, right in the middle, and I go, here we go, Casanova. And she goes, no, casserole, Bond, James Bond. And I was like, Casino Royale. I was like, all right. So I was like, oh, yeah, because that was a new release as well. So that made more sense than Casanova.
It's funny you saying that, because one of my funny times at Blockbuster was I was working on a ship with Candice, and Lucy was running the ship, and this woman, Candice was serving, and this woman came up to her, she said, "Have you got porn?"
Porn?
She's like, "What? Like, porn? We got porn?
Oh dear.
Have you got porn?" Yeah, but it's not very good porn. And I was like, no, hang about. Like, she's getting at something here. So, one more time. Have you got porn? Okay. And then, like Tim, I clicked that Bourne Supremacy had just come out. So it was like, oh, yeah. Oh, Bourne. You want to watch Bourne? Jason Bourne. Yes, Bourne. How her B's sounded like B. Her B's sounded like P's. Is, very confusing.
We did have a select few softcore titles at one point.
But they got phased out, I think, after a while.
Yeah, there was a decision made that we took them out. But
it was a good call to get.
Ant will definitely remember, whether he admits to it or otherwise. Misty Monday?
Was
that the name?
Yeah, pretty much.
Who remembers the pranks? So there was a week when all of us had 5 film recommendations on the shelves from each staff member.
Yeah.
But that wasn't until the very end of Blockbuster, wasn't it? I was pretty gutted about that.
Yeah, but there was a prank we used to do. There was another staff member called Joe Corbett. Now, Hey, Joe. So he would have his movies up, and obviously his was like, Jaws or something. No, he hated Jaws, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah,
fuck that dude.
I remember you guys debating. But anyway, so yeah, he had his recommended films, and there were pranks where we'd always take his films out and put all the dirty porn in his recommendations. So when customers went by and his name was on there, and we had like gay porn or something on there, he was just like, it's like.
Did you ever, when we first started, when you were trained, like when a customer brought you the movies to you, did you have to say the films in front of them?
Oh yeah,
you've got Mask of Zorro, you've got such and such.
Yeah, because again, for those who aren't familiar, we used to have the picture box but on display, so that was always there, and then behind it you'd have the video or the DVD in its own rental box, so it said Blockbuster all over it. It was really clear that it was ours. So they'd have to bring up the one from behind, but obviously people being arses that they are, they'd quite often just randomly put stuff back behind other covers. So you might end up with, I don't know, Terminator 2 behind Bridget Jones. And because you don't know...
Oh, don't even get me started on that. That was a nightmare when Bridget Jones came out.
Yeah, I remember Bridget Jones being an absolute nightmare as well. We had 160 odd copies on video.
No DVD.
You could only get 3 deep of the VHS, and because of the shape of the spine, they'd all slightly angle one way, so they'd forever be cascading off the edge of the shelf, middle of the busiest time of the week as well. Yeah. People often bring up some random thing, so you'd have to read out the title of everything they brought up in case they'd randomly picked up some other thing. People still wouldn't listen to you, though, would they?
No.
So they could have, 2 romantic comedies, so naturally you'd think they'd have a third romantic comedy, but no, they brought up some...
Give them the movie.
Some B-movie
walk out
horror
and
film. And you're like, okay, so you've got...
Itchy the Killer,
Exactly.
Goatsy, or what was it called? What were some of the titles that were always, like you said, you would always promote these films?
Cashback.
Short Bus, Cashback.
Short bus.
All of the rubbish films that no one liked.
But yeah, you'd have to read out the title. Then.
Yeah, but did you ever have an incident? I had this incident where I was like, oh, okay, you've got Mask of Zorro, you've got Incredible Hulk, whatever, and you've got The Erotic Witch. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have that?
Reading Jimmy Greaves' football skills.
Yeah, there was a subtlety to that where you go, so this one and this one, and then you just go, and this one's correct, sir.
Is that how you done it?
That's how I often.
Oh shit! I didn't even think of
You
that.
get the popcorn and hand it over to them and just go, mate.
But also more amusingly, and I'm sure Phil will have versions of this, when you'd misread the title on purpose to see if they paid attention.
I never did that. You do that?
I think we'd play around with what came in and we would come up with names for
the ones
them.
that always stick out for me are clock stoppers. Obviously, you drop the L, so clock stoppers. You say it quickly enough, people won't hear.
Yep.
And the other one, the 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or
Die Trying,
was always just Get Rich or Die Bryan.
Get Rich or Die Bryan.
And you could say it as often as you like, and no one would ever hear anything
That's
other
genius.
than the thing
I never
that they
thought
knew.
to do that.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Men in Pens.
There's Pirates in Men's Pants.
Pants, yeah.
I think that goes back to the old musical, The Pirates of Penzance. There was a Harry Potter one that we always used to mess around with.
Harry Potter and the Order of the...
Oh, yeah, the Order of the Penis.
Yeah, that was it.
And again, you could say this on a Saturday night. If you did it subtly and quickly enough, you could...
They were none the wiser because they were in the queue too long to even care, weren't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I'm sure I remember transposing the word cabbage into something.
Tim, do you remember the Asian dad? Who wanted to, when he signed up and he wouldn't do it because of the details.
Oh, right.
This
guy was mad. So he basically did want to sign up for Blockbusters, and because his wife had told him to come over to get it sorted so they can rent a movie for their kids. But obviously, when you sign up, you do need to put in your name and address. So we need some details
security details,
for like returns and rentals and stuff. So he didn't feel comfortable wanting to give out details, and he just didn't seem to understand that if you don't give us the details, you can't rent a movie. And he was irate. And at this point, he said, "I can't talk to you, me, that is." And he gets on his phone to his wife. And he's having this massive argument with his wife because his wife doesn't understand, he doesn't understand, even though it's basic of what I've just said, like no address, no rental.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Honey, they're not going to do this. Look, he wanted my fucking details." and there's customers around him. This guy's swearing over something so little and minor.
I'll never forget that. We used to laugh about that so much afterwards. He was so irate, though. There was no reason for him to do it, but he was so irate for it.
Yeah,
and that wasn't a lone experience either. People had so many things to argue about.
Yeah.
This film didn't work. I want a refund. Like, okay, obviously I need to test it first. Yeah. Some of them you can see the disc is scratched to bollocks. Shouldn't have gone out like that.
They've been using
it
to
a brand new
bricks.
Just the first copy rented out.
But some of them, we always had multiple DVD players around. Like, okay, do you remember where it stops? Oh, it's 20 minutes in. So you'd get to 20 minutes. It would play perfectly. I'm like, well, as you can see, sir, this disc is working fine. If you put a lens clean... Oh, it's not my fucking machine. I've got a £400 DVD player. Okay, I appreciate that, but they can still get dusty. And unless you've been cleaning it regularly... You might have something on the lens. I can't believe... I come in here every week and you're a kid... All I'm saying is you're watching the DVD play without issue, so it might be your equipment. I'm not accusing you or making any kind of aspersions on your existence.
Absolutely.
Injury to them. It's like, yes, I know you owe $275. I'm so sorry. I don't even want to bring this up with you. It's a confrontation I'd rather not have.
Yeah.
But until you pay this fee, I cannot rent to you.
No.
And they'd be like, yeah, but the last film I watched, I didn't like it. I go, that's neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
I'm just going by, and obviously when we had accounts, you could have obviously put a little bit of buffer. So when you logged into the account, it would say, I'm not going to say it, this guy is a exploited deleted. So you'd know what you're dealing with before, obviously, and you would know, oh, this guy always argues about late fees. So you would
It was
either
either the
be like,
comment or the warning, wasn't it?
Yeah, there are a few of those quite crucial things. So, obviously, as Tim was just saying, everyone who wanted to rent from us had to set up an account. So that required filling in your, amazingly, giving your name and address so we know who you are and where you might have taken our stuff if you don't return it.
Yeah, because
also a credit or debit card, and people always wondered about that. But
always, though.
as I said earlier,
straight away.
we're paying upwards of £30 per copy of a thing. So if you come in as a new customer and rent 2 movies, you've got £60 of our product. If you pay us £7 for it and don't bring it back, we've lost £53 by you not bringing it back. So we need to have that kind of resource and reference there. People would go mental on it. So the ones that were a bit sketchy, as Phil was saying, we'd put these warnings on. So as we scan their card, if they brought it with them, we'd get literally a flashing warning saying, beware, this person took 3 weeks to return their last DVD and refused to pay the late fee.
cool
They may rent they may rent one DVD in full. They cannot pay next time. They cannot pay when they bring it. And you think, well, how are we in this state that people are trying to sketch out on a £3.50 DVD rental on a weekly basis? It wasn't like a one-off occasion. They'd be doing it every time they came in. I'm like, do I have to service?
Yeah,
I can understand when we had to do the answer phone call list. Obviously ring the customers, and it was very tedious because obviously during like summer it'd be obviously your biggest period, and you would have to it would be like, how many pages? Like it would just constantly keep printing out, and you would have to call, then do the FOS as well to check the shop floor to make sure that all the discs are on the shop floor and you haven't misscanned, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
A found on shelf report. So a list of everything that's 2 or more days late, and you'd literally have to physically go around the entire shop, making sure. And again, when we've got 150 plus copies of a movie, someone's got copy 137 outstanding.
It's a mini audit.
Right? Okay, I'll look through the 112 that are on the shelf to look for copy number 137. So you're looking at a little barcode, 0.10 type font. Okay.
Long.
Is copy 137
FOS
on the shelf?
FOS was a bitch when it came to the kids section.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I was going to mention the kids section in a little bit.
We're going to come back to that anyway.
That was
so
quite the task for sure.
So so you've obviously mentioned some funny times there. Was there anything you wanted to do in the store that you never actually got to do? Like, I remember me and Simon always wanted to do a hardcore wrestling match closing one night, or hockey on the roof at one point, like very Clerk style.
That
we wanted to do that.
Not have held us.
Yeah, exactly.
It poured water for years, so
But just as a laugh, was there something you wanted to do there?
Orientated, because that was almost like the haunted part of the store, wasn't it? That back area where the back toilets were, and like you could go up on the roof. Always wanted to smoke up there, and maybe
pipe.
do a.
He means a pipe.
Yeah, maybe do a projected movie night or something like that, or hockey on the roof, or an in-store wrestling match, or like all the kind of things. Play football in store. We did that.
Oh yeah,
we kind of got halfway towards the wrestling on a couple of occasions when the store was being refitted.
Yeah, but we never really did
Not
the match.
full on with the ref.
No.
We always wanted someone to film it and like throw each other into the popcorn
Ladder
bins or
match.
something. And then do you remember the tall tower things we used to have for the popcorns?
They were
in the
utter
end?
bastards, those
Yeah.
things. I hated them.
Like we always wanted to like throw someone into one of us into that
I
and do a
was
thing.
so glad when we got rid of those. When they were brand new, they were kind of cool, but in actual functionality, they were shockingly poorly designed. They was
Tim, anything?
so arduous.
Pretty much did everything that we wanted to do towards the end. Really, there's obviously this is further ahead, but when the store was closing, obviously.
Yeah,
we did a lot of things that we weren't supposed to do. Like,
but we'll come back to that.
Anyway. But that was pretty much it for me.
Yeah, certainly the longer I was there, the less worried I was about stuff, the more comfortable, the more at home I felt. And people laugh when I say I kind of felt at home there, but it's fairly true and for a lot of people, I think. You've got these people that you make a really strong connection with because we're all good mates. I mean, it's 7+ years that the store's closed. I'll still see you guys on the regular. We've got WhatsApp groups and so on. We
always had fun regardless. Even though it was work, we had fun with it.
And it was the mini games we would play. It's called it one of the best games and still growing.
So you have this familiarity. So when that was lost, it was a good shame. But as I say, for the most part, I felt I was kind of at home. So when people started being a dick. I'm like, you're in my house. You don't get to behave like
Get the
this.
fuck out.
Well, it was, I mean, I don't know why people thought that they knew better than the guy who'd worked there for a decade.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a violent person, but I ended up I refused to shout at people as much as I could because it, apart from looking unprofessional, it doesn't gain me anything. But people were ranting and raving like,
But we would always have a laugh of it after the situation was dealt with.
Yeah, but you're in my home. You don't get to come in here and do that. So I'd regularly climb on the counters. At one point,
beating your chest.
Yeah, well, not quite, but there's occasions where the alarm would go off, and rather than going around the counter, I would just vault over the damn thing. And people look at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, well, the alarm's going off, and this is the shortest line.
Was you there at the old store? Was you there when we had the power cut on a Saturday night? And everything had to get rebooted, and I had to stand up and go, right, it's rebooted, you can carry on waiting, or you can get the fuck out, basically, wasn't it? It was just like we say, it was,
There's things you could do, because it was in the sense of like this kind of, Empire Records has.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
absolutely.
Where you're a community of people who will not let an outsider shake you. And when you do get as attacked as an individual, the whole team locks in on it.
Oh, 100%, I mean, throughout the years there, but I remember a good couple of occasions where me, Grant, Mark and Lee all essentially stood shoulder to shoulder like a team and just like strong-armed people out the shop. And like, you don't get to behave like
Nah.
And we didn't even, it wasn't like, we weren't looking at each other nervously going, we didn't have security like in one of these shops. We just went, well, I'll let him if you'll let him. And it was, it was an unspoken agreement. Like,
do you remember Fuzzy?
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you remember Fuzzy?
Yeah.
Hello,
I remember one time where Simon,
Yeah.
So when he started closing the store and whatnot, I remember there's one time where he caught a bloke nicking stuff, and he stood in front of him at the exit, and he's obviously this geezer's got a long coat, hiding all the tapes in there underneath, and he stood there like we said, put your arms up by the side, and he was going to stop this bloke until the bloke said, "I've got a knife in my pocket," and he just let him through anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best option from a self-defense point of view. If someone threatens a knife, you've got a choice of punching them unconscious immediately.
VHS ain't worth it.
No, absolutely. That being said, I did chase a number of people out of the store, up the street. I mostly caught the damn bastards and got the stuff back. I remember one guy had about 25 DVDs. I caught up with him around the corner because he wasn't. I think that was one of the occasions I vaulted over I threw my keys out of my pocket so I could run easier. Vaulted over the counter, out the door.
I remember that.
Up the street, and this guy obviously wasn't expecting me to chase.
Yeah, I remember that.
To chase him. And I got around the corner, and I'm pretty sure I threatened to break his legs, and he went, "You can't say that." I was like, "You just stole from us. What the?"
I say what I want,
I say whatever I want. Put him down, and he did. He put him down, and he carried on running because he was like, a good 200 meters away from the store at this point. He was on his own. I mean, yes, I was on my own. So as I say, self-defense point of view, I'd never recommend it. Me being the guy that I am, no, he's not getting away with that. He's stolen from me. He's stolen from the store, but he's stolen from me at this point. So I'm like, I'm going. Yeah. I'm getting up. And I felt great coming back in the store.
What was the term we called them? Well, I fashioned a terminology for customers.
Oh, I have no idea which one you're referring to. There's many.
I called them customers. And I want to write a book one day all about like retail.
We did put a swear warning in, didn't we?
I did, it's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty much that. You knew who to deal with and you knew who not to deal with. And we had a thing called Called It in store where we'd obviously
that was so funny.
Play a game. It was like a mental kind of Trump kind of card game where people would come in store and you would call it upon someone that was them, and then they had to find someone who was better. And then we had a whole thing out back which was like a wall of clippings from like obviously the magazine of people that look like us, but they're obviously like more simpleton versions. So mine was like a mullet guy with the moustache and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of looked like it was a bit like working in a mental asylum.
Yeah,
yeah,
especially with John working there. Shout out to John. He was quality entertainment while he worked there. John
Stickley was a great
he would do a manner of things throughout the day, which all kept us like giggling.
Kept us got us through the day, went out.
There was lots of it. Do you remember Cheese Touch?
Yeah.
I know you hated this side, but there's a movie called...
at least I know where that came from, which is the Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and they have a piece of cheese on the playground that if anyone touched, they instantly had some form of cooties. So basically, we had a whiteboard out back in the kitchen, and I drew on it a piece of cheese, and if anyone touched that cheese, you couldn't go near them for the whole shift. And then if they touched you, then you had cheese touch, but you couldn't pass it back to the person who just gave it to you. You had to find a new host for it. So, while Si's shouting at us to do our work, but but I don't want to be on till because he's got the cheese touch.
So this is a middle school game of tag being operated by 20-odd-year-olds in a video store.
You can tell we did do some work in this job.
Yeah. It was almost like mental asylum. It's like one Blockbuster over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, it was our own little game, our little own universe that we used to play with ourselves. But we were all in it, and it was it's almost magical. Yeah, it was just fun.
Totally, man.
What I think we achieved though, and I don't know if you're going to touch on this at all later, Ant, we were quite unique as a store. The Crawley store, 60037 was our store code. It's forever going to be in my head. But once in a while, I don't know if you guys ever went to other stores, either to just go in at random or to work. They were bizarre.
Yeah, I mean...
They were corporate.
Yeah.
Compared to Crawley. In Crawley, you could walk in and we'd have an atmosphere. When we could get away with it, have music that we liked playing.
Yeah.
We'd not necessarily actively, but almost passively or subconsciously tend to hire similar kinds of people.
Yeah.
It wasn't just who's got... the right GCSEs.
No, you're quite right, though,
We kind of wanted... There was always a thought to who'll fit the team.
Yeah.
Which is why we ended up with cool people like Candice and Phil and Tim and whoever else that was there. Obviously, Mark was there before we all started.
Curtains, Mark.
Yeah.
Girls like Marie was really cool.
Do you remember Wally? Matt Wallace? Now,
Matt Wallace nearly needs an episode on his own.
Now, let me ask you a question, right? So, I can't remember if Phil was this or not. Years and years ago, we did a Blockbuster night out at the very old AMC bowling alley in Crawley.
That used to be a regular occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And he wore a pink shirt one night.
Yeah,
what was he called? What did we call him that
night? He was
night?
the Pink Avenger, or the Gay Avenger.
Yes, it was the Gay Avenger.
Yeah.
This was 10 years before the Avengers came out as well, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it had nothing to do with Marvel whatsoever. No, he was just the Gay Avenger, and it was great.
He was a great.
Alternatively, he
manager.
was almost always typed in as Stella.
Yeah.
Because he was never out the lane. He was in the bar buying another pint of Stella. So, it's Wally's go. Where is he? He was at the bar.
But dude,
of course he's at the
he
bar.
used to sleep over in that store.
Yeah.
Like, if he closed on a Saturday night, he would sleep over and open up on a Sunday as well.
Because he wasn't local. He was Brighton or somewhere down that way.
That's right. And if you missed the train, he would sleep over. He'd get the sleep because that was when we closed at 11 o'clock at night as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, he'd have a pillow of popcorn and he'd come in the next day and like, "You all right, Matt? Yeah. You sure? Yeah, I think I am." He's just kind of lolling in the half-broken office chair, spinning in circles. You don't know very well. Do you want to go home?
Yeah. So the way we hired staff, obviously they had to fit our demographics. So it's kind of like the movie Moneyball. We have to get the right chemistry team. It's about the most expensive players, the most experienced players, about the personality as well.
I'm afraid I've never seen the film.
It is a good film.
It's in that kind of...
it's definitely we went... There's a certain outlook on life that generally...
that
wasn't always the case. There were times where we just needed people and you'd end up... And they were always the ones that... And you'd probably easily notice they were the ones that weren't around all that often. Yeah. But the ones who stayed were because they were of a type, and that's where we had this.
Because I came back 3 times. I think Phil came back twice, didn't you? So twice was it?
I can't remember. I went to Laser Hub and failed, and then came back and then went to JD Sports then came back and I was like, please go on. The real world is so horrible. Can I just come back to Blockbuster?
Just come back to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
But you had that family to come back to. But as I say, I went to cover, I would occasionally went to Haywards Heath or Horsham stores, and you'd go in and there'd be one other person working there, and they'd have, and this is at the point where, the one I'm thinking of anyway, BBTV had become this soulless background void of copyright-free music. So it used to be that they would play actual trailers and they'd have voiceovers and they'd have music, and
that was when BBTV was actually cool.
But then it got to a point where it became entirely copyright free, and it would just be this weird, and they'd have it up really loud and like, why can I hear this? Like, you got to have BBTV on. Like, mate, you don't. Are you a psychopath?
Yeah, exactly.
Turn it down or turn it off. And I
just
did.
plugged in our mini discs or whatever we had.
As I say,
mini discs.
This is what I'm saying. This is why we were such a standalone, unique store. I'm sure there was a few around the country, but a lot of them, they would do exactly what head office told them. So they'd do, they'd, not that we didn't wear uniform, but they'd almost be in the classic US style khakis that weren't mandated over here. So we'd have me and Miz walking around in our skater trousers. You couldn't see our feet, and you'd have your skin tight, your spray on jeans, as I called them.
It didn't matter as long as you had the blue shirt, wasn't it?
You either had the blue shirt or later on, thankfully, they rejigged it and we could have T-shirts.
That's right.
Unless they say, ask me how much on the back, printed on giant orange letters.
That was a fantastic oversight in design.
Yeah, we were never by the book. We always bend the rules a little. Not so much that it affected the work, but, we all still got along. So
did you ever have your name on the name tag? I always had something like Obi-Wan or something on mine.
Yeah, mine kept changing.
Yeah, I never ever had my proper name on there.
I always had mine on there. Most of the time it had a skull and crossbones after it.
That's right, I remember
Not
that.
that I chose that. That was just, that got given to me by Grant, the manager. So I'm like, fine, I'll take that.
About you, Phil? Did you ever have your name on the name tag?
I just personalised it with a few stickers.
I
got but saying that, working at Blockbuster for however many years, I don't know how much, you get a little letter, don't you? Get a letter from head office and you get this little plastic gold pin to say thank you for your service for working for Blockbuster for like a decade strong, whatever. And you're like, I was more hoping for the pay rise, please.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They never gave a goddamn pay. What is that about?
Yeah.
Like, the
badge.
It was a failing company for the most
it never
of your
came.
tenure.
It never came. Like, I worked there for like year after year after year, and you're constantly being told, right, maybe next year, maybe if we hit this quarterly target, we're going to get a pay rise. Yeah. It never happened.
No.
Only with, I think, inflation and...
it'd generally be your base increase.
Yeah, but it was apart from free rentals was pretty much the only thing that kept me there sometimes.
Yeah, we did. We missed the golden era of the full expansion. Anthony and I will have got some of it. But the later years, obviously, Blockbuster no longer a thing because it
was weird because
it was
when I
losing
started,
money because they weren't keeping up with the modern idea of what people wanted. That's not to say people weren't renting DVDs anymore, but the balance was definitely shifting away.
Absolutely.
Not to say that I'd have any better idea of it myself at the time, but there was definitely things that they wasted money on that they didn't need to. That stuff like
like 300 copies of Bridget Jones, maybe.
Versus giving out a few rentals because you didn't have enough copies against.
I remember when it came out. We walked into the store. It was still the old designer store. We had a massive standee of Bridget Jones, and it was a massive sign that I can't believe if you or Grant done it or whatever, and it said we don't have it in DVD, we literally only have VHS. I can't remember what the screw up was or something.
Yeah, we had VHS only for 2 weeks, and then the DVDs were coming.
But still, people want. Have you got the DVD? No.
Yeah, it
just this red tape going across the thing like it's in Jurassic Park and they've quartered it off.
Yes, exactly.
There was one way into the store and you couldn't help but walk past essentially a life-size Renee Zellweger holding a sign at eye level saying Bridget Jones is only available on VHS until said date.
Yeah, that's right.
Oi, mate, if you got that film, that one with that guy in it with the thing. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, that film, it's over there by the door. If you go through the door to the outside.
You've got a football factory, mate.
The Business.
Oh, you've got The Business, mate. It's a banging film. You haven't even seen it yet.
Exactly. It's got Danny Doyle.
Tell me what's good. I'm this side of the till, motherfucker.
So, obviously, the next question is, in 2005, Blockbuster store went under a major change. The inner store was completely different. With a horrible colour scheme and whatnot, and I just wanted to know what your guys' intake was on that. Did you like the new design? Did you prefer the old?
I didn't have a problem with it.
It was definitely due a refurb. There's no denying that. What they did wasn't a great idea. Blockbuster for a lot of the time were following rather than leading in at that juncture.
We did get a slush puppy machine though.
We did, yeah.
We didn't get a slip and slide. Or a log flume.
We didn't get slip and slide, no. There were talks of a copy machine at one point, which I think would have done really well, but would also have been a pain in the arse. The things like sorry, this is going to sound really dull and technical potentially, but the positioning of the till where it was, Grant and I fought so hard to not have that till in the middle of the shop. Because it was dumb. It took us 30 feet away from the door, so if people were wanting to rob,
They could have
They
done.
were 30 feet away before we even started. Never mind the fact there's a computer system in front of us to climb over. Overall, I quite liked it when it was fresh. The carpets were clean.
Yeah.
The transition period was a nightmare because, in their wisdom, they refused to close, or for all but 3 days, I think. What they did was build a damn stud wall down the middle of the store, which is about 30 foot across.
They opened half the store up, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
with plastic sheeting.
everything that was in the middle of the store got shunted onto fewer and fewer shelves, bookended instead of flat-faced. And then, the other half was renovated with this stud wall. And it wasn't a proper stud wall. They didn't put plasterboard on. They just put plastic sheeting on, thick black industrial sheeting, which sectioned off that half of the shop, made that half of the shop, unsurprisingly, even damn hotter in the middle of the summer, because this was May, I think, when they were refitting
It
it.
looked like a movie set for a period of time, because it was like you walk in, you'd be like, am I supposed to be working today? Like, where is this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, people would walk in and go, are you open? I mean, quite literally, the clerk's line, are you open? Like, yeah, excuse the shelves on the floor and the fridge, next to...
and the people in
Whatever.
hazmat suits. And,
Well,
The asbestos in
Yeah.
I mean, they were lovely guys, but the people that were doing the shop fitting was a bunch of guys who came down from Yorkshire, and they were the other side of the plastic. They didn't give a shit about customers or any kind of representation, doing the job perfectly well. But what the bloody hell you fucking do? You can't hammer that. I'm like, sorry guys. Can you maybe not swear down the length of the shop at each other and turn the drill
Whilst we've got
on
customers in the store.
while I'm trying to serve, Anne and her 3 kids with their Haribo.
What about you, Tim? Did you prefer the new version?
Honestly, it's a blur for me.
Fair
I'd
enough.
imagine you don't have many memories of the older store.
I
versus
mean, only
the
from
new.
when I did work experience in '97.
Yeah.
That's it. But so I kind of came in when it's already refurbed.
Yeah. So,
I mean-
so the functional space behind the till was great. The positioning of it was terrible.
yeah.
One of the reasons they helped with the refurb is it was when we got in Game Station. So again, when Blockbuster was a bit more successful and we wanted to branch out and get a bit more specialised in certain areas, we bought Game Station, which was a hell of a change compared to...
Which was a Blockbuster chain at the time, wasn't it?
Well, it became so at the
it got
time
bought.
time we were doing the refurb was when Game Station was acquired by Blockbuster, which is why they introduced it. But obviously, we always did game rentals to a degree. But
I can remember, because did we do the rentals when Game Station came in?
yes,
We still did the rental side of
We
it.
were always doing the game, because in the old store you'd have that glass partition as you came in. You had the membership
right.
desk on the other
Yeah.
side. God, I remember the first time having to go and do a membership. It was a terrifying experience because it was.
I
So,
honestly didn't mind doing memberships. To
well,
be
once I
honest.
got used to it,
It
it
got
was
me off
fine.
till.
But
Yeah.
I'd string it out and do a membership for as long
as long as they wanted their details.
yeah, we noticed.
Actually, there was a time when I obviously had some pikeys that came in. So yeah, they obviously didn't have an address,
Of course, yeah.
but he needed an address to sign up. So what he did was he just put down on the address caravan, and on the postcode he put in his license plate number.
Okay.
So I was like,
and then smeared it with poo to sign it.
So I said, yeah, we can't accept that.
yeah,
And we never.
And what happened? Did he walk out? Or?
They were like, why not? It's official. And I was like,
I'll choose my words carefully here because we're being recorded. We had a number of issues with the traveller community for a number of years as well, and they'd come back and we'd recognise. Well, certainly I would recognise them
Because they're fake notes, wasn't it? Really.
I knew that they'd stolen from us previously. Some of them were fine up to a point, but when it came to joining up, we just simply couldn't accept it, and they thought it was against them specifically or personally, and really it was just a fundamental idea of.
But when
it's that security thing.
when you're a nomad,
yeah.
it's like you say, you can't charge to them.
So what I always did, I always recommended, we had a whole bunch of pre-owned stuff, the ex-rental stuff. So I always said, look, you're going to pay 20 quid today to rent these 5 movies. You can pay 25 quid to buy these movies, and then they're yours. You can do whatever the fuck you want with them. And you won't have to worry about us taking details that you don't want to give or don't have. mostly that worked and it was fine. They still try and put Ben and Jerry's down the top all the time, but
There's no point chasing them.
Yeah.
Grant would be just like, leave it. Like,
It was an uncomfortable situation at times. I think we handled it about as well as we could. But, Caravan and the license plate, definitely not qualification for a membership, unfortunately.
It'd be hard to track down.
It would be pretty hard to track down, not really within our remit for the ANPR on Blockbuster ceilings.
I mean, personally, I always still prefer the old one. That's just me being nostalgic.
Is that right?
But I always loved it. I just
remember renting there as a customer myself and working there. So there's obviously the new build.
Yeah, same as me, yeah.
I don't know. I think the old store had a little bit more magic to it because obviously the start you were there.
Yep.
Within your age demographic, you probably had people there to kind of teach you things that you probably didn't know about film and media. Same for me when I joined. I had people older than me, so they taught me a lot. And then I probably became that person to a newbie. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was just easier with stuff as well. I mean, like you said, it was laid out well, but you had the places where the standees would go, and I just felt, to me, it was easier as a shop to run, especially with the queuing system as well. Like, I just felt the queuing system in the new place wasn't as good, because, like you said, where the till was central...
Well, they ended up putting so much stuff in. They had so many things. There weren't room for the people, essentially. In the
exactly.
New build. That being said, though, I think the queue generally worked.
You really?
I think there was less of a queue more often in the newer build versus the old one. I think it just flowed a bit better. And because those, as I say earlier on in the episode, when you came in on a Saturday and the queue was literally front to back, that was soul destroying. So if you weren't in the mood for it, you've got to stand there.
So if you had a hangover, basically.
More so for your guys, potentially, but just having to stand in the sun, you're on the third or the fourth till over in the manager's bay.
There's no room.
And you couldn't even see the screen because it was a CRT monitor.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
There was no brightness control on it. It was an orange and black layout screen. I can't... So you're having to prop a folder up against the edge of the monitor so you could try and read the membership details.
Did you ever take any standees home?
Yes. I've got a few now.
I've got a bunch.
You still got some?
I've got Megatron from the Transformers movie. I've got Borat in his Mankini.
Nice.
I've got a few of the wrestling ones when the Game Station did wrestling advertisements.
Oh, nice.
So I obviously put my name on those.
I've got a load of Borderlands stuff. I've got Navi from Avatar. I've got Darth Vader.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Probably my most impressive standee.
Yeah.
Not full size, but close to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I technically had two, but I gave the other one away to a good friend called Matt Chapman. Who also
he was with it, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So that standee was There'll Be Blood, which
I did have. I remember taking home a Kiss of the Dragon one.
Oh yeah,
and obviously I wasn't driving at the time, so I had to carry this thing home, and I had to walk through Crawley Town home to get home. But I didn't realise that at the time Leah Neil had put on the side of the box it was in Anthony's Gaze posters inside. So everyone who's walking around town is looking at me, reading this thing on the side, saying, "Oh, this is legit. He's carrying." Highly sexual posters in this box.
And of course, casting no aspersions on any alternative, just nothing against the gay community, but at the time it was definitely that kind of late 90s lads banter of
different
each
time,
other.
different
era. It was the joke being made.
Yeah. The other standee I have, which I still have now, which is actually still in my bedroom, is the WWE 13 with CM Punk.
Nice. I still think that's the best one to this day.
Easily, yeah. So,
not because of Punk, but I just felt the roster and the button control.
Yeah.
13 had always been my favourite.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't remember much beyond 2006.
So obviously the story changed, and then I think Phil brought it up earlier on that we started getting different stuff to sell, like the slush puppies. Then we started doing alcohol. Then we started doing lottery at one point.
Yeah.
We had the alcohol in the old store.
That was the old store, sorry, but we still sold it regardless.
That was a separate nightmare unto itself.
I remember that.
I was going to say, did you guys start to feel like this was, to what you were saying earlier, it was getting more corporate, or to me, it was getting to feel like I was going to work it in a co-op, especially when we got the lottery stuff in.
I just felt they just didn't care about us as staff members.
No.
We weren't there to be pleased or made moral high anymore. It was like, come in, do your shift, push this movie that you don't have any passion for, and sell your bits. No talking. Get on the till for having hours, fulfill your quotas. It just became corporate.
Yeah, it was an attempt to diversify in a changing landscape. I think was the issue as online became a thing.
Yeah, they were more target driven by the end of like when it was not like maybe a couple of years before it closed.
Yeah.
It was all about how much we were going to do in the way of selling bundles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because as a store, we always close at like from 10 o'clock. But I think we stopped selling the alcohol until 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah, there was a cut-off point. There was a cut-off at some point.
But there was a lot of customers who would come in and not even rent movies. They would literally just come in just to buy alcohol.
Yeah, that's right.
At the last minute
we weren't very
before close,
competitively priced, so I was always astonished by it. There was that guy who tried to steal the 5-litre keg as well.
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, this thing wasn't small. It's like trying to pull someone's head off and take it out under your jacket. It's not going to happen.
But I assume the company realised it wasn't very Blockbuster-esque and they stopped the alcohol bit, didn't they?
I wish I was glad when they did that.
We were one of, I think, 70, might not even have been that many, trial stores. Grant and I had to go up to wherever the damn hell it was to get the licensee stuff sorted. There's a lot of work involved and it had constant upkeep. And I think, overall the balance of profit and benefit versus the amount of hassle just wasn't worth it, certainly across all of the stores. I think, again, we were so unique in so many ways. I think for us, alcohol probably worked quite well. I think for us, the lottery worked reasonably well.
Oh, really?
More so with the scratch cards than the actual lotto.
Yeah.
But in the stores overall as a trial, didn't work out so well. So
because we started doing mobile top-ups and stuff at one point.
We sold mobiles themselves.
Oh, was it mobiles as well?
Yeah.
Remember the in-cage was up for sale once?
Yeah, we did electronic top-ups, which carried on for quite a while and was okay, but not massively popular.
Kind of. I remember the scratch cards.
Yes, yeah.
Getting those.
But we did actual mobiles. We did sat-navs at one point.
Did we?
Utterly pointless. We had tablets. I don't know if you remember when the tablets launched.
Yeah. I didn't know we sold them, though.
So Blockbuster was kind of CX for a while.
It was, as I say, it was this attempt to diversify and kind of find another thing that might be, if they're here for this, they might be interested.
Phil, did we do music at one point?
I think we sold what you would consider is like the most charty type titles and obviously compilations. So
that's
like,
right.
You know, hits of 2000s, the 90s, that kind of stuff. So with discount, that was awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But then we had something to stick in the CD player occasionally as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone bought their own CD.
That was the most important part of the day sometimes. It's having coffee and having a good playlist. Like, without those two, like, it was literally like...
Yeah, because towards the end we had the music license, didn't we?
No, I don't think we did.
That came along with GameStation.
That
was GameStation, sorry.
GameStation had the PPL, which allowed us to play music, which was amazing. Again, it's something that set us apart from a lot of other stores that either didn't have GameStations or didn't have the license. So had to stick with Blockbuster.
Yeah.
There was no corporate music or anything. Everything that was just mainstream media. We all had our own CDs. We all bought in. So
I know we sold the speakers, didn't we? And we were using the Bluetooth speakers towards the end of the days.
We use it on our phones.
So you'd walk into a lot of places and they'd either have this soulless background music which had no copyright on it, so it could be played wherever. Or maybe they still had the traders at that point. You'd walk into our store and you'd have Coheed and Cambria, or you'd have Pantera, or you'd have Bad Rabbits, or Kill Switch, all these. And people would genuinely come up to us and go, what's playing at the moment?
I would make...
it's this and that. That's amazing. Do you sell this?
I would make specific mini discs with, like, obviously songs have swearing in it, so obviously you can't play the whole album because you would either have to dip the song when it comes into swearing. So I'd obviously, on mini disc back then, you could get about 5 albums worth of songs.
Yeah.
So I would make a whole mini disc worth of what you would consider is shop safe music, and then when we closed, we had obviously the kind of more extreme late night music, the metal, the hip hop, and what was your favourite thing to play on Christmas?
Well, I was just going to mention first of all that it wasn't a clean cut operation for Phil's mini discs, because I remember at least one occasion where the clip from Pulp Fiction, "Any of you fucking pricks move," went out at full,
Fun Loving Criminals.
At the beginning of the Fun Loving Criminals track, but it went out at full blast on a Saturday night with about 80 customers in the store, and I was down the front here and I fucking ran as fast as I could to essentially yank the cable out the back of the machine.
Jesus.
I was just going to be quiet for a minute. But yeah, if you want to close a store on Christmas Eve and make sure people get the fuck out of there quick enough, because it was one of the few days in the year we were open 364. So
that's right, literally Christmas Day we were closed.
Only Christmas Day we were closed.
That was it.
We closed early on bank holidays, and obviously Christmas Eve being one of those. We closed about 7, I think, sometimes 6 if we were lucky. we all had homes to go to, we had stuff to do. People wouldn't care. They'd still be coming in wanting to rent movies.
Zombies at the window,
Yeah,
clawing
like
the
that.
glass.
Like on a Black Friday sale.
Genuinely no thought behind it. So one year I discovered that if you play Soulside Journey by Dark Throne as loud as you can stand it without
like,
your ears melting, it's super fast, scratchy black metal.
Yeah.
And just played that as abhorrently loud as I could manage without actually causing people's ears to start bleeding. And also turning out half the lights in the store, always a good trick.
Yes.
And people start going,
And,
are you
and pulling
closing?
down the shutters on the ice cream and drinks.
Oh yeah,
cabinets.
closing the turn the lights off in the fridges, putting the shutters down on them.
And you look at them calmly, and your eyes turn red, and you just go, "Good." Oh,
Amityville style.
And there's one guy actually came up like, it's really inappropriate, you shouldn't be playing this. And it was like 7:15 at this point, we'd already been closed for 15 minutes. Like, if you'd left, you wouldn't be hearing it.
You used to do that with the Limp Bizkit album sometimes. It was like, why is this playing? Because we're closed, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Fuck out.
Like, why is it so dark? Like, well, you know when I came up to you at 9:45 and said, we're closing soon, if you need anything, let us know, but yeah, you got a little while and then we'll be...
it?
Oh, yeah, I'm just looking.
I'm just looking
Right,
to see if there's any...
5-2 and at 2 minutes of that.
Yeah.
Okay, the tills are being turned off now. You need to come... Yeah, I've just been... Like, 5 past, like... Okay, it's too late. You need to...
shut it off.
Did you guys ever get the phone call when you're like, oh, what time are you closing?
Now.
Actually, you're like, yeah.
Can you hold her? No.
No, bye.
And we were joking the other day, weren't we? And I'm sure it was with you. Like, people would ring you on the bank holiday saying, like, "Are you open?" Like, well, I'm not here on my day off.
That's it, yeah.
Answering the phone to tell you we're closed.
I remember...
Yes, we're open.
I remember when Tim was working on a Boxing Day morning or something. You were... sorry. And he took a photo of the phone where you obviously answered for where you did the membership stuff. And there was like something like 360 odd missed calls or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
Remember that?
I do remember that.
I was probably hungover.
Well, yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember first thing straight away. It's not like, you know, I'll show out how many people had tried to call in on Christmas Day. Clearly, was you know, a shitload of people.
Well, people would definitely have come in if we were open. Yeah,
It's crazy.
there was always special rules though. We'd give people 2 or 3 extra days. So if you rent it on, let's say Christmas on a Saturday, you'd rent it any time from the Wednesday up to the Friday.
That's right.
You'd have until the following Wednesday to bring it back, and people would still be like, "Oh, I didn't know when it was due back," and they come in on like the 2nd of January, and
That's all it was, though.
Yeah.
People just ringing to make sure they need to bring their videos back on Christmas Day.
I think they just wanted to come and rent another film, but
Probably, yeah, because
they'd bring about like 4, 5, 6 days late, sometimes a week later. Like, were you open? How did you miss the point that when you rented this, I said, "This is due back next Wednesday"?
Yeah.
You know, we'd tell them the day, we'd tell them the date, we'd give them 3 extra days on top of their normal rental period, and still they'd be like, "Oh, you're going to charge me? It was Christmas." Of course, me being the atheist I am, the only person I know who doesn't celebrate Christmas, said, "Yeah, pay up. Give me your money."
So obviously, apart from the lottery tickets, the alcohol, whatnot, and I think this took place whilst the store was still old. Do you remember when trade started? Like when you could actually trade stuff. See,
Oh, yeah.
when it started at Blockbusters, obviously being working there, I was oblivious to other places doing it. So to me, I thought Blockbusters was the first place to do
Like
it.
a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I thought
when
it
it
was
come
awesome.
in, I mean,
You could
I
get stuff that you couldn't get. Ex-directory almost.
absolutely. It's like I was so confused as to what you could do. Like, wait, I can actually get rid of my VHS and swap them for DVDs that I can't afford.
Get all the wrestling DVDs and upgrade your collection.
Yep.
And anyone that traded in, we wouldn't put them back out. We would internally.
Oh, yeah, getting first dibs on stuff was a great
I called
did you-
WrestleMania. I called it.
That was
Called
my
it.
next question. Did you guys ever come across something at Blockbusters that someone traded in? You're like, called it?
Yep.
So mine was Erie, Indiana, season 1.
Oh, heavy.
Oh,
so
nice.
good.
And I was like, and it didn't even have a thingy, so you put it through as a budget, and it was
Yep.
only 50p. It's like,
Yep.
yoink, have
Yeah,
that.
on the similar note, similar era, Boy Meets World, first 2 series.
No way, really?
Yeah, sorry, there's not a listing for this. We can trade them in at 50p. Oh, I don't want them anymore. Take it. Result.
Tim,
If I
anything?
could buy this,
Yeah.
it'd be 20 quid.
Yeah, I had, it's quite later, 4 Steelbook Blu-ray.
Nice.
But obviously on the system, we never had Steelbook, so we just
didn't.
traded at a normal price.
That was a Blockbusters.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I already had it on Blu-ray. So 'cause the person traded in, she got £4 for it. So I just needed the case. So I put it on the back with my name in it saying "Cold It." I came in with my cover of the normal edition and just swapped over.
Yeah,
and I
sounds legit.
And I got it for free. So I had the free steelbook, and it's H&V exclusive. It's worth like £70 now.
Very
Nice.
good.
Yeah, so that's probably my most, not the best film, but the best purchase, free purchase.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony?
I had here Indiana.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What did you have? Were you just wrestling?
Anything wrestling, really, or kind of cosmic horror, sci-fi, or inspired films that you couldn't really get hold of. You could go to, like, what is it, H&V or Virgin in town, but you already knew that they had a kind of, like, you know, like a store has a certain access to a certain database. So you couldn't get, whereas maybe CEX now, you can trade pretty much anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Getting to a point, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Other
for
than
us,
VHS and Betamax.
you can get Region 0, Region 1, and Region 2 DVDs, which if you could, if you could get a converter, you could. So I think it was the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior that you couldn't watch in the UK.
That's
at the time.
right.
Oh, nice.
And you could only get it on Region 1 or something, so
That's
you'd have
right.
to get a changer within your PC.
And someone brought that in.
Someone would trade those in occasionally, where you could watch a film, or the director's cut of it, but it would be a Region 0.
Yeah, there was a PS2 disc where you would change your PS2 to be Region 3.
The Exploder.
The Exploder, that's the
I've
one.
got that one.
Yeah, I've still got that.
Oh, actually,
Very helpful.
there was one more. I don't know if you were there for that or if Tim was there. But basically, a guy that... So Matrix had just come out on DVD, like the whole collection, because not long after Evolution had come out. And I bought like this... We Blockbusters were selling this tiny box with just a collection in it, Animatrix and all that sort of stuff, whatnot. And then there was a collector's edition, which was like a plastic mini bookshelf thing.
The clear box with the
Do you remember
bust.
that? And that's it. And then the mini bus. So someone traded that in, and again, no barcode for it. But there was a straight swap for my box set for that, and that was like, that was one of my all-time favourites. That one.
We did get a lot of kind of shortcuts around stuff. It's well past the point that I care of admitting stuff like my console broke.
Yeah.
I was gutted. It was the Halo 3 limited edition Xbox, but
What, Red Ring?
yeah, it must have been at the time. I work at a store that has, and I didn't swap it for a brand new one, I don't think, but you know, we had access to a bunch of other consoles. Like, well, this is now the broken one. I'm taking this one. There's, as you say with your guys' stuff, the net effect is the same. The store doesn't lose or gain anything. It just now has a different version of the one that's there. So.
I've still got all of my DVDs and games upstairs.
Yeah, me too.
In box.
Yeah, I got a few.
Yeah,
But I
you got
haven't.
them as well.
I'm not letting go of them. They are charms of the time. Like I've got Idiocracy and Basketball and all those types of films, and I'm not letting go of them. One side of me is like, look, just get rid of the plastic box and have the sleeve and the DVD, so you can sort of minimalise your section. But then you're like, no, I spent at the time like £13.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't want to kind of give it up.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. I can't help the nostalgia for it.
No.
And whilst I've got the space, I'm not going to worry about, as you say, foldering them and just keep it, even just keeping the insert.
Yeah.
I actually have a copy of on DVD the Blair Witch 2.
Okay.
Not a great movie, of course, but I kept it because it's a rental copy. It has the promo for a Blockbuster video on before it.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember the?
yeah, man.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So that's the reason why I kept that. Definitely. I mean, I still I'm like you two. I've still kept a few of mine, but because some of them still have the original prices on them, like 20. 30, whatever it was, quid. Do you remember pre-owns used to be double the amount of a brand new one?
Yeah. Well, I remember stuff like, again, I think Avatar might have been one of the earlier ones. It was like £25.
Yeah. And
how is that expensive? But because you were selling it before it was available
That's right.
on retail, because there was this rental window. Sometimes it was up to 6 months. You'd only be able to rent it. So people are like, how are you charging so much? Like, you can't go to Tesco, mate. You can't go. Can't go to H&B and buy this.
You get it
We're literally the sole retailer at this point.
I remember begging my parents to fork out 30 quid for a copy of Event Horizon on VHS.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Looking back now, how mental does that seem?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely mental.
But again, it was you used to have a gap. A gap where it would be on rental for 6 months, and then you could buy it after 6 months. So that's why Blockbuster took that advantage with the pre-owns.
Yeah, and some of the pre-owns had their own rental covers, so it was a completely different artwork to the actual official covers. Like for example, do you remember War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise one?
Yeah.
Right. So the original cover was just him holding his daughter, looking concerned. That was the front cover of that one, and then the rental cover had the world being gripped by an alien.
By
hand.
the alien hand,
And I was
the
like,
Martian hand, yeah.
I was like, that's a better cover,
It is.
and that was the X rental cover, and just had rental copy at the bottom. But some of the X rental covers were better, and there was also copies where if the sleeves were missing, you'd have this own Blockbuster print, which
yeah,
you'd
yeah.
put in,
That's right, yeah.
and then you have to literally write in the title and then put the age certification of it on there.
Some of them had better rental copies. I remember 28 Days Later had a better rental copy.
Rental cover for that was great.
Rental cover, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we've touched up on it earlier on, but we're just going to add about when GameStation come into the store. I remember when it first started, it was a bit harder to work with because, if they wanted to buy a game, they had to go around the corner and then buy that game. They couldn't just do it for us. And then I remember we got a lot of backlash with customers about it. Do you remember anything like that at all?
Yeah, because
Bits of it,
obviously
yeah.
they were so used to coming to us for all of their services that they were like, no, you're going to have to queue up again in the game station.
That's it, yeah.
But then again, they had 4 people for every one customer that come up to them.
Exactly.
But we had, however many customers coming up to
Yeah.
us, and how many 3 tills.
We would have
open.
more
Vice versa, wouldn't it, really?
We
Yeah.
have more customers than them. There'll be a point when they're not even serving,
Yeah.
but they're not allowed to serve our customers. So
Yeah,
they're just watching us doing nothing.
It started as 2 separate till systems.
Yeah.
We had no idea how theirs worked. They had no idea how ours worked. And you say they were responsible for all retail of games. We still did the rental. But you get, unfortunately, people queuing up in the rental line going,
Well,
I want to buy
come in
FIFA.
from the
No.
They had the touchscreen as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
We were still on keyboards and
That's
stuff.
right, yeah. Never got used to that touchscreen system. I don't think I ever worked out how to use it. Didn't need to because they were there. Yeah, it was kind of weird having that crossover. Like, almost like getting a bunch of step siblings suddenly
Well,
arrive.
they
and like-
did sell some cool stuff, though. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I remember the
But-
chainsaw PlayStation 2 controller
Oh,
they
yeah.
had at one point. That
Yellow
was,
and blood.
that's right, yeah. The Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, something like that. I can't remember, yeah.
On the Resi,
That was
for
sick,
sure.
mate.
Yeah.
That was well good.
So yeah, that was an interesting transition, getting used to them, and then trying to work out the balance of power. Well, not balance of power, but balance of
Making it sound like a
responsibility.
He-Man movie. The balance of power.
Yeah, but there was definitely
of
there was definitely a
power.
disturbance within the structure of the store when you've almost got like 2 elitist power structures going on. One's games, one film. I felt it as a bit like in the Big Brother house when they bring in a whole like load of new people and you're like, yeah, but we're the OGs. We're the originals. I don't care what they say. They can wear a Blockbuster shirt. We can merge with them all they want, but they're not going to be OGs.
Yeah.
After a while, yes, they do wear,
Yeah.
and you do become a lot more familiar with them, and those things break down. But there was a big thing at the beginning where it was a little bit.
Especially when you shared your break with one of them.
Oh yeah.
No, I generally
There
get on
was
with
a divide.
people.
There was a divide on.
There was a divide.
yeah, that's what I was trying to get at,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a
If you
divide.
felt like there was a divide to
Yeah,
start with.
Psychology, it's tribal.
Yeah. It was like territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
I think in part that came from the manager's approach
yeah,
to it
definitely.
versus
Yes.
most of the guys. You had Sean and Ryan and Chris. They were great.
R.I.P. Sean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that sucks. But yeah, generally
Yeah.
they were good. They were good guys. They were just doing what they were used to from wherever they came from,
Yeah.
and they didn't think to question it because they were young like the most of us were, and just going, well, why would I do a thing that I've not been told to, or not even just not been told to, actively told not to do by
yeah,
their
true,
manager,
true.
Yeah.
who was often not to be found
But
on the shop floor.
It's
so-
exactly what Phil was saying. Though. It was just when you started off with you had the customer, and then they're like, "Oh, I want to buy this," but yeah, it doesn't. You can't do the deal here. You've got to go around and do the deal there. You're gonna have to. It was a bit of a nuisance trying to do the separate transaction thing. That's why I
Yeah.
got confused. I couldn't remember if they took our rentals or not. We still did the rentals,
No,
right?
everything rental was always Blockbuster specifically. We've eventually merged fully, obviously, both in terms of staff and system. So we got rid of their separate till system. All their inventory became our inventory, which
Yeah,
made
because
things a lot easier.
they essentially got rid of GameStation eventually, didn't they?
Yeah, it became just fully
the games.
Blockbuster,
And it was just Blockbuster. Yeah.
And I think that's quite important because there was, crucial points where we get, they'd, as Phil said, they had far fewer customers versus what we did for the number of staff that we had. So we'd be looking at them literally not doing anything, playing on their phones or whatever. Like, it'd be really
they got
helpful.
paid more.
It'd be really helpful if you could go out and tidy that, or restock that, or
Couldn't they?
clean your bit, or help this guy find something. And for the most part, they were open to it. Certainly after the beginning period, and it all finally gelled, I think, really well. It was nice to get to that But yeah, there's definitely a bit awkward to start with.
Yeah, they just didn't have like what you would consider as the hazing period. So you know what I mean? Like when you're taking on so many people, and it's like a frat house.
Yes,
very
yeah.
frat house,
It's, you got to get, you got to get whacked on the arse on occasion.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah. No, they were cool. We integrated quite well. We made good friendships out of it. It's just like I say, when it's work related, it's like we're doing more. They were doing less. I don't care anyone argues with me on this. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Like
It's true, though, yeah.
A majority did like just immediately click. Like Brad, for example.
Yeah.
He was good.
Fancy that. Him
But
not
the
having a
boxcar
soul.
killer.
Boxcar killer.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
and Brad, it is your hat if you're listening.
You better be listening, Brad.
After all these years.
You soulless bastard.
So we're obviously going to go towards where it became Blockbuster's end of days. So when it was announced the merger with Netflix, Love Film, which was basically Blockbuster's brought to your door, is that when you guys start to realise we were in competition now, this could be coming to an end?
Not an end, but I knew the competition was there.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect an end until the Netflix deal started to come in. But when Love Film was there, that was the competition part.
Yeah.
But I thought we were fine in competing with them. We weren't like losing a battle, as it were.
Yeah.
I think it was just the competition was there, but we weren't. No one was losing or gaining until the Netflix thing happened when they wanted to buy out.
That wasn't that originally meant to be a Blockbuster share thing? Netflix. They were meant to.
I never knew
something
the
like that.
specifics of it. There was definitely a possibility at some point early doors that there could have been a merger between Blockbuster and
I think,
Netflix.
wasn't it based on, I don't know if this is true or not, but like the owner of Netflix got charged a quite considerate amount on the late fee. And went, you know what, screw them, I'm going to start my own company. Where
Is that really?
Yeah.
Something, I don't know if that's...
Wow, I never knew
Don't
that.
quote me on that, but I'm sure there's something
It
in
makes sense, though.
in the internet that he just got bum hurt and probably just went, you know what, I'm going to go against them. And we should have done the same. We should have jumped to a fresher model. We didn't do it in time. Then they tried to do the mail-in service, which, like...
I think the DVD by post did fairly well to start with, but people got some weird ideas with how it works. So they try and... I think they'd like ring us up and like, can you post me this? Like,
Well, no, because
that's
I
not
think
how that
we were
works.
going to start it at some point. I think Blockbusters was going to jump on that bandwagon at one point.
Yeah, it was the...
We did, but the Blockbuster DVD by post operated centrally
Right,
rather
okay.
than store-based. So people would try and come to us and go, can you post this to me on Tuesday? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And that's not how that
Didn't we
works.
get people returning them to the store, not actually by post or something at one point?
Yeah, that was an option for them to drop it into
I think
store.
I didn't
We'd
know
then
that.
have
I
to
didn't see. I never
package
knew
it
that.
up
I
and
thought that
send
would just
it
be a
back.
nuisance.
Well, partly that, yeah. It's obviously preferable that they send it back where it came from rather than coming to us.
Yeah. Well, there was an odd time when the customer brought in... We had a Dropbox. That's where we put all the rentals in. There was a customer... Do you remember when he... It wasn't ours, but he dropped in like 10 Betamax tapes.
No
in
way.
the Dropbox.
Seriously?
It was like his own collection, whoever this customer was. We'd have no idea who it was.
Yeah,
we just opened the Dropbox one day, and there was just like 10 Betamax tapes.
We've got Betamax, we've got people's home videos,
Yeah.
which you'd always be tempted to stick
I
in.
know, but not Betamax. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
And other video stores, when they still existed as well, we used to get their stuff back. So you'd phone them up like, are you the guys on Ifield Parade? Yeah, we've got 3 of your videos here if you want to come again.
Yeah.
And then we eventually knew those guys. I don't know if you remember Ash and his brother.
Yeah.
They'd come and buy our stock and take it to their store and run their store with it.
They were the guys in Ifield, weren't they?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they would buy a shitload of the pre-owned stuff, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd spend 2 hours with these guys just finding their stock and selling it through. Couldn't trust some people to run it through the till system. They'd always break it.
Yeah.
And then obviously March of 2013 was the day.
The day.
The day it happened, really.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact date, but it was in March. Because I remember
17th.
because I remember we'd come back from my stag do in Vegas.
Oh, God, I remember that.
Yeah, and then literally I think the week after or something like that,
Yeah.
I walked into the store and you two were like, "Ant, it's over.
Yeah.
We're closing."
Yeah.
Because before the stag do, you put a sign up like, "No, DVDs aren't going for £1, and this and that ain't happening. We're still liable." Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you were like, "Ant, it's happening."
Yeah, I remember that the actual day because I was working that shift, and then Grant came in saying, like, because we heard about M.T.V.B was going under. There was like a huge kind of crash that was happening.
And that's what I just jumped to as well to get off because I thought Blockies was going under.
Yeah, so when we was there, it was like me and Ali was on shift. Grant came in saying, right, I'm getting words from the boss, and it's not looking good, but we don't know anything just yet. We might still be here. me and Ali's shift ended. We had plans to go see Les Miserables, the movie at the cinema. So we're waiting for a text from Grant to say what's happening in the store. And so when the film finished, we got the text after the movie, and it said, he said like it's over. We're closing down.
It was a weird time.
Was you on shift then?
I don't remember specifically whether I was on shift on the day that we found out, but yeah, obviously I was there.
Yeah,
at least 5 days a week. Some weeks did work 6 days.
Because that's when all the prices dropped and people were hounding it for just £10 a new Xbox game or something, wasn't it? And
they were. Yeah, I mean, obviously staggered to start with. They tried to stave off absolute closure by going into administration, which allows you a fantastic set of opportunities. Apart from the devastating fact you've gone into administration, it gets you out a lot of rental contracts, and that was what was largely screwing us. Is that Blockbuster had expanded to such an extent. We're over 700 stores nationwide.
Yeah.
The estate that we sat on was costing us millions in rental every single year, which we simply couldn't sustain anymore. So going into administration allowed us just to go, we're going to close 300 stores. No longer have to pay all that rent. So
makes sense, yeah.
Kind of floats the business for a bit longer. But yeah, then inevitably more and more stores were closed. We were always, the Crawley store was quite often number one, but always top 5 revenue.
Yes, I was about to bring up,
country. So we were a goddamn busy store. You know, there were Saturdays we were taking 25, 30, up to 40,000 pounds in a day.
Same, we were a big deal in Crawley. I mean, you know, as much of a shit town Crawley is, you know, Blockbusters was a big deal to Crawley.
The weekends were great.
I mean, I'm not the kind of guy who worries about getting robbed, but there were times I was cashing up and I was bagging up the 8th or 9,000th pound, and oh, fuck, that is a lot of money to be putting.
And the sad thing was, whilst we were going under, there were still loads of people that were saying, you know, I would prefer to come in here and, you know, considering the time we're living in now, being stuck indoors and whatnot, I know a shitload of people that would still go to a shop, rent it, and or buy, you know, sort of thing.
Recently, I've been wondering how Blockbuster would deal with this situation.
They would have been out straight away.
I think it'd be an absolute state.
Non-essential.
It's
a digital era.
Kind of harks back to that family idea. Is that, and I think partly because for each of our members, we took their name and address. So every time we served them, we were reading their name. So it wasn't just that guy came in again today. It was Terry that lives in Bewbush.
Yes.
You know,
it was general interaction with customers. Like now, you look at ratings and reviews from like people online. Back then, you actually spoke to people. And it was more engaging. It was more, you know, the physical engagement was much more better than just like reading stuff. On
it was
absolutely.
one of your most non-favoured customer to come in, and you could see them walk through the door. And you're like, no.
Sure, there's definitely people that. Sorry, guys, I need to go and do some paperwork.
Is that Quagmire?
Quagmire,
Sully Monster.
Who's the other one? Glenn.
Did you ever come across, like, if you served a Fitbird, there would be a comment from Lee on the account, like, oh, this girl's so gorgeous or something? I used to come across a shitload of them.
Yeah, I remember those. And
he would always be like,
but right,
chill out there.
Yeah, but the issue is he'd do it right in front of them, wouldn't he? Just like
breathing into an empty popcorn bag.
He was an unsubtle man.
Was the early 2000s? I don't think I was there. I don't remember Lee.
He was there. Yeah, he was there till 2005, 2006.
That's when I started. I don't remember.
Because I came back in 2000. Because I left for a bit.
Was he there post refurb then? I thought he might have gone by then.
I think he was gone by then.
Yeah, because I came back in 2004 and he hired me back, so he definitely was there for that. But obviously the big change was 2005, wasn't it? So
because I became assistant manager when Mark and Lee both went on holiday for like 2 weeks snowboarding.
And we had James Parker at one point. He was there, wasn't he?
Kiki.
I remember Jake. That's it. I remember him. Yeah.
And then like, we need someone to run the store. Like, well, if they're not coming back, I'm going to need to be the assistant manager. I'm not just going to keep running your store for you and not be the assistant manager. And then half the time Grant wasn't there, so like, I'm effectively the store manager.
Yeah.
You can't just have a shift runner being the store manager. That's dumb. Give me the position.
Yeah.
So obviously, go on.
I was just going to say, with there's definitely the people that we knew to avoid, but we knew so many people. There was easily 100+ people that I knew by name, so it wasn't just "Hi mate," it was "Hello," and I could name them. Yeah. I knew what they'd rented last, and I loved that. That was
or you knew what they were going to rent as well.
Yeah, you'd have a good idea. You could almost on a Monday morning kind of collect together the 3 movies that you know that Jez is going to come in and rent that evening in the 3 for £10.
We all had that customer that we could relate to.
There's so many, and that along with the staff and the family feel of the staff, it was that connection with such a huge number of customers that is the thing that I miss more than anything. It's just going, hello, I know you. You're not just a person. Yeah. You're Mark, who still owes me 40 quid from the last 6 movies that but he'd always pay the 40 quid and rent another 6 movies. Yeah, exactly. And then you'd ring him on 2 Tuesdays' time and go, Mark, did you die? You still got, I'll be in later.
Well, you actually did the call list.
I didn't mind doing the call list.
I
was just always doing all of the other things that needed doing as well.
It was either the call list or the kids section was a no from me. Yeah. Straight away.
Who always missed a few names?
Oh, I missed not a few names. I missed a few pages, mate.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was a ball ache. I won't argue. It was a good service to offer for the people who genuinely forgot. You'd always get the occasional arsehole go, "Yeah, I know I've got it. What's your point?"
You still got to give it back.
My argument to you guys, which always fell on deaf ears, was it's like serving customers with the added benefit of being able to hang up on them. So I don't know why you're so against doing it. But
yeah.
It was just tedious, and it's the same. I hate having to ring people up and having that kind of I've actually got to engage with someone. I'm quite an introvert. Yeah. So doing something like that is not something.
You're in retail, buddy.
But that doesn't matter. It's like I need to pay my bills, and at that stage of my life,
we weren't ringing them to sell them stuff. That was the worst.
Yeah, but it was just like
when they started trying to get us to do it for pre-sales. You need to ring these 400 people and see if they want to get the new Call of Duty. No, they're going to come in and buy it regardless. I'm not going to ring them and try and take £2 deposit over the phone.
John Stigley kind of upped the game when it came to phone calls and doing call lists. He would put on different accents. He would be different characters. He'd make up names of who he is and not really being that person. He would always make it fun.
See, that would be me now.
But that was what we essentially did with everything.
Everything,
we used to just do our job, add it, and have fun with it.
Agreed.
It got us through it, yeah. I remember one time in the store, literally just a whole shift, we wouldn't talk to each other unless it was a quote from a film.
That's right. Yeah, that was a great game. Yeah. Do you remember? Oh, yes, and who can remember Steve Carell's face? So
you had to try and find it.
Well, the movie Dinner for Schmucks came out, and we had loads of copies. And then basically, the covers were going to be thrown away. So I decided to cut around Steve Carell's face
about 40 times.
40 times. And I started sticking his face on different covers of movie DVDs.
Yes, you'd have James Bond, Quantum of Solace, except Steve Carell's face.
Skyfall. The Hangover Part 2, instead of Bradley Cooper, it was Steve Carell's face being all happy and gleeful. And and then there was customers that rented it.
Seriously, with the face on it?
Yeah, I think the customer I served I put it on Friends with Benefits. So it was Steve Carell's face on Justin Timberlake instead. Yeah, so you got Mila Kunis and Steve Carell. The thing is, because it was cut to perfection, I must have done it.
They were good.
They actually thought Steve Carell was in it when they returned it.
Didn't you put one up on a promo that used to go above the till or something?
On the light box.
That's it. The light box. That's it.
And then there's a security camera in the back. Facing where the toys were, and I hanged a sellotape over, and it just had Steve Carell's face hanging above the security camera. So you just had Steve Carell's face.
Whilst still Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
Mate,
fun times.
So obviously, getting towards the last day. I mean, you said you were mucking around with stuff. It was sort of. I remember there's a few things used to die from the top of a ladder straight onto junk and whatnot.
Yeah, I kind of got injured. Yeah, we were not under the influence during the last few days, especially me and Mark. But yeah, there was a point actually where we was actually selling parts of the store to customers.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Anything that wasn't bolted down.
Yeah, because it was all going to be chucked away and just be put in a skip. So we decided, these shelves, people might want to buy them.
Yeah.
So we started, putting prices on these shelves in lockers. The lockers we had in the back, we'd sell the locker. And
someone paid us £10 for the Hoover.
The Hoover, yeah.
I was about to ask, did Henry go?
Yeah, the Henry went.
Well, they never came and picked it up. They paid us £10 for it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And again
So was you allowed to do that, or was that just something?
That was something we just decided on the last week.
It was largely,
But it wasn't for your benefit. You put it towards a night going out or something, wasn't it?
2 nights out.
2 nights out.
So what
with all the money collected, we had 2 nights out.
We went, well, what are they going to do? Fire us? The store's
exactly.
closing.
Yeah, that was the argument.
So Grant and I just went, you know what?
Sell it.
Within reason, this is going to be fair game. So stuff that we don't need, get rid of it. What I also did was put
So
up a-
corrupt. It's trickled from the top down.
It was fine then.
What I did, and I'm very happy I did, and I'm glad it worked so well, is again, I leveraged that position we have with not being a faceless goon in a video store.
Exactly,
we were
yeah.
Phil and Ant and Tim and Simon.
we were all
and Grant
characters,
and Ali
right.
in Crawley Blockbuster. It was the place that you go.
Yeah.
So I just put up a really simple A4 sign on the counter and I said, "We're very sorry that we are closing. We've loved serving you over the years. If you'd like to give us any money for a night out, when it's all
Yeah, it
gone,
was like a little tip box,
but
wasn't
we'd
it?
love it."
Yeah.
We made over £300 from that, just from people giving us cash
That's
tips.
good though, but
Yeah.
you
In
had,
the
like
pot.
you said, you had that set of customers that didn't want you to go.
No, they were generally
know?
upset as well. Yeah.
They'd come in and then obviously we'd stop renting at that point because you can't
Yeah,
get the rental.
yeah, of course,
back.
yeah.
So every rental we had either got sent back to distribution if it was very new, or it was made X rental and we sold it. All at massively reduced costs toward the end. But we were just selling so much stock.
Yeah.
And then, so they'd buy, 4 for 20 quid and chuck a £5 in the pot. And you're like, fuck, thanks, man. And we ended up with, loads of money. So I think we ended up, because I also had a whole bunch of stuff that, for whatever reason, and I promise you it wasn't through any mismanagement, it was just the operation of a store of that size, loads of stock that wasn't on inventory. I think it had been written off as damaged, and so it was genuine in an unsaleable state. But CEX were going to buy.
Yeah.
So I took
Someone,
I took
one
so
man's
much
junk isn't a man's treasure.
I
at the end
took
of the
so
day.
much stuff that we weren't able to sell and had been officially written off the
Yeah.
books.
Didn't you sell the freezers as well?
Yeah.
I swear they went up
some
for
of
sale.
Did we?
Someone wanted to buy the Haagen-Dazs.
That's
freezers,
right. I remember
but
once one of them did.
we weren't allowed to sell those because, as far as we knew, they weren't ours to sell.
Right,
so they
okay.
were left in the store, and they were there for months after the store closed,
Really?
before it got re-inhabited. But yeah, I sold a whole bunch of stuff in CEX as well, and I think I ended up giving each of the remaining staff something like 50 quid plus money for the night out.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Nice.
It was great.
How has this happened? This is
Yeah.
insane that we've got to this point in our lives. So yeah, it was really sad. Obviously, don't get to see people
No.
in the same way anymore. But I think for the most of us,
Yeah.
it benefited us. Certainly for me, I went out of that place, instantly walked into a new job that paid more. I was like,
Yeah.
why didn't I do this
Yeah.
years ago? It's because of the people and it was the environment. And although it was stressful and busy at times, and you ended up
All fairness, I'd still be there today.
Easily.
I'll do celebrity
Mate,
shifts.
if it, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
One
I mean,
night
because
I'd work
that's what I was
7
doing
days a
towards the
week.
end. I was there. I came back for a couple of weekends here and there. I wasn't actually there. I was just a part-timer towards the end.
Yeah.
But I'd still be there today if it was still there,
Absolutely.
regardless. And that's not just to work. That's to hang out with you lot,
Oh,
but
it's
earning
just
money
fun.
at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
it was
just
fun. It was a fun
But
job.
I remember on the last day, there used to be a big counter in the middle of the check-in bit where we used to do all our stuff, whatnot. And Mark started to draw on it, like
Oh, yes.
just some sort of weird graffiti. And I just said, I turned around and said, why don't we just start signing this? Why don't we start saying our goodbyes? This shit's happening. This is going to happen today. Let's say our goodbyes, write some stuff on there, whatnot. And I think I did something like a Superman symbol and the dates I started there and came back and whatnot. And then Ali came in and then she'd done her bit. And then everyone did their bit.
signed it.
Yeah, we all
And
signed
then I remember you were working at, Phil, you were working at H&B at the time, but you
Yeah.
came to the store.
I worked the last 2 days, I think, on just a couple of hours, just to be on the till again,
Yes.
just to kind of
Yeah.
ruminate the feel and
Yeah,
get it
but
out
you
of my
came back.
system.
We had loads of people come back. I think Candice came back at one point. My sister
Candice
came
there,
back,
Carmela was there.
even though my sister was there for 6 months, if that.
Yeah.
She still came back and went back on the till, and it was great to get some people back and then sign that.
we had
thing
your
as well.
whole family there because your dad Steve
My
was
da-
there.
only my mum. My mum never worked there.
Oh yeah.
My dad came back, but went there for a bit, but he didn't come back on day. But that was so good to see people joining in and putting their bit of mark on,
Yeah.
not mark intentionally, but,
Yeah.
their marker on that bit of wood that we ended up lifting off the end. And
Yeah.
we had a photo taken
Yeah, we
with it or
did,
something.
yeah.
Or-
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Yeah, I've got-
photos.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
quite often look back at those photos, whatever's available on.
But I remember that day specifically. There was 2 reasons, which was what Phil did and what you did, Simon, that day, where I was saying to myself, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. And where Simon, where you came to it, you did a sign, which if anyone knows the movie Clerks, there's a joke about this game, about the movie where their shop looks like they're closed, but they're always open. So they make a big sign that says, I assure you we're open. And then Simon did a sign saying, I assure you we're closed. It really hit me. I was like, there's one stab to my heart. And then literally before we closed the store with our final customer, Phil had put on a piece of music from Back to the Future, which I believe is Back to the Future Overture.
That's right, yeah.
And as soon as that hit, I nearly bawled my eyes out. I cried my eyes out.
I saw it.
I really did, because he played that as soon as that last customer was walking out the door, and I was just like, this is it, it's over. And I just broke, literally broke into pieces. Yeah. Did you guys have that same sort of feeling when it happened? Or
it was sad.
It was a sadness, definitely.
I remember at one point buying 2 bottles of honey Jack Daniels, and this is when I still drank as well. Possibly a bit too quickly on that morning. And I essentially made everyone in the store on the last day do a shot of JD with me. As
I had no problem with that.
A tribute. I instantly got a bit dizzy and like, okay, maybe I should have down a bit. But, definitely kind of a first time I'd ever been in. I think any of us had been in the situation of a store, the place you work closing. Fully
I worked at Spencer Gifts in the mall, and that was kind of like an alternative store that sold lava lamps, etc.
I remember that. That was a cool store.
And that went into liquidation, and I was a couple months from getting actual redundancy money from it, because I worked there 2 years and 8 months or something, and it's 3-year periods. So that happened to me then, and then I jumped to Blockbuster, and then the same thing happened again, and I just started to feel like everything I touched just turns to shit. Kind of feeling, and I didn't want Blockbuster to go because it was such a core part of my childhood and adolescence, and then my teens and my 20-somethings. I was just like, how can this happen?
I was there for just under 12 years, which at that point was essentially half my life. I'd worked. I was like, it's not something to easily overlook.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I was there 7 years, I think. Yeah, but you were there 12, man. That's crazy.
But it's amazing how we're still here. We're still sitting when we're still hanging out, which is what that place, if we weren't working there, I wouldn't know any of you guys. You guys I've known for donkey's years now. You all came to my wedding. Without getting soppy, you're not my friends. You are family. You are, regardless. No,
true.
I love you guys to bits, and I'm so glad that we even still hang out, do podcasts together, watch wrestling. Just have a blast and remember the past a lot, so much.
Yeah.
I'm a big nostalgia fan. I can go down memory lane anytime. I'm more into that than what is the current state of events today. So I'm always going to be into the nostalgia stuff. I loved Blockbuster. It was a quality learning experience, meeting with people, and the host of experience that I gained through it all was just like you can't teach that, can you? Like,
no chance.
It's never going to be captured again. We're very lucky to live through that period of time where we did exist during that, and everyone along the way. It was a quality experience.
Absolutely, I agree. Totally agree.
It was like a lightning in a bottle. It was a magic moment.
Yeah.
It's like you will never recapture that either. That was like a once in a lifetime opportunity, pretty much. But we still keep it alive by meeting each other and stuff and reminiscing,
talking about it.
And we still play the games.
Put up a monument or something just to sort of qualify that there was an establishment there. Call it Blockbuster Way, or you know what I mean. Like there wasn't. But like you laugh, but like Carpet didn't have that type of thingy. Whereas this was I still get people now who see me and go, "Oh, you're a Blockbuster guy."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I get that.
Absolutely.
We're not all called Blockbuster guy. But I got discount from my girlfriend Ellie. Like. We were in Boots or something, and the girl gave me discount on the makeup she was buying just because I gave her a good deal at Blockbuster. So it still happens to this very day.
I was exactly the same, because that's how I used to work at Blockbuster. I would go out on a Friday night, get Muller and whatnot, then work Saturday and Sunday night at Blockbusters. And people, if I walked into town or went to Hollywood Bowl or whatnot, I was like, "Oh, you're the Blockbuster guy," and I would get free fries, free drinks at the Hollywood Bowl or something.
Awesome.
It was crazy. Did you two ever get that? Or
it's just a community of people. Like we just all interacted. Like especially with customers. I still see customers today. And they still remember me from Blockbusters and stuff, and I remember them as customers, and we still have the same bands and stuff. It's basically it's a time portal that I love to look back on. There's a recapture every time you see a customer, or when I see you guys, it's like it's a wonderful experience, which I
was happy to share with all you guys
absolutely.
Right now.
Absolutely.
You do. You get known. I mean, not maybe people only think of as Blockbuster guy, but you get known in the community in a sense, and that does stick for a long time out. And people,
we made an impression.
You kind of get that odd look occasionally. I mean, I don't go into town all that often, particularly at the moment, but you occasionally get that glance, and you recognise them, they recognise you, and you're never quite sure, and then you go, Blockbuster, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it. I used to go there every Saturday. Like, I'm sure I said.
Yeah, we know.
And look, I mean, I don't work at the comic shop in town now, but I still almost
You
get
practically do work there. Though.
Well, but I still kind of get that feeling now. So people come in, and a few weeks ago I was in there, and I was just hanging out, chatting to the guys who legitimately work there and own it. Hello, Chris and H and Paolo and all you guys. And this guy just started asking me questions like, "Have you got such and such in stock?" And I'm like, "Okay, nothing's changed then. I'm still the friendly face that someone recognises."
You kind of are the Scott Rankin of the comic shop, though. Hi, Scott. Sorry, he's there.
Yeah. He's our favourite customer.
You're my favourite customer.
Yeah,
Thanks
people still kind of get that connection. They're like, well, I recognise him as being someone that knows stuff and is worth talking to, which is really nice. And he's even in a different environment outside of that store. It's like, yeah, I'm still.
But I remember when I met you for a coffee there once a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
we bumped into that really tall geezer that works for security at
Marcus.
Gatwick. Yeah,
no, not Marcus.
No, Mark. You know, with the slick back hair and whatnot.
Yeah.
And again, he used to be a big Blockbuster guy as well. And was that what's her name as well? In the end, was it Leanne?
I still don't know if that was Leanne.
I'm telling you, dude, it was.
I called out her name. She didn't respond.
She probably got married.
But then later on, she looked at me like, "Do I know you?" I'm like, I don't know.
So obviously, we've got to the end where it's been and gone. Apart from the obvious, which we've already stated, is there anything else you miss about Blockbusters? To me, I miss the fact that it was kind of like me and Tim are big on world cinema, as well as you guys, obviously. But that was sort of our income to get the films.
Yeah,
where obviously people rely on the internet and stuff now, but that was our source of
Yeah.
income to get that film.
Yeah, the hidden gems almost.
Yes.
It wasn't a mainstream product. I mean, not everyone would go for like the big blockbuster films, but we like to find the indie, like underground ones that are like no one's seen, and there's some gems out there. And when you recommend them to people,
Yeah, because the recommendations we brought up earlier, that's the thing I missed as well, because if it wasn't for Simon, I wouldn't know what Kevin Smith was. I wouldn't know what Empire Records was. And what's the other one? Biodome's another one I wouldn't know what was. So, again, with Phil, when he used to close the store and he used to play these banging albums and whatnot, I wouldn't know half that music if it wasn't for Phil.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it swings and roundabouts. It's like I miss that a lot.
It's a collection of like all our ideologies of like music and anything in genre. We just loved it.
Yeah.
And we just connected. It was a good share. Yeah.
It's like a metocracy of counsel,
Metocracy,
isn't
yeah,
it?
that's
Like we're all
perfect.
coming in with all of our passions and information about the subjects we find that, like, you know, kind of light our fire.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm big into movie soundtracks and scores and orchestral themed things and all that kind of stuff. And I like a good film too. So it's like, you know, that's my angle on it. Someone else will have a different, like, someone might be into the film artwork and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it just creates, and let's be honest, life is pretty mundane and boring whether not being able to share your experiences or culture with somebody. Otherwise, it just...
Totally.
You know what I mean? And that's what Blockbuster was. It was just a place to go where you could be heard and not be on a soapbox or per se, but like just, you know, get out what you were feeling most and then get those suggestions from people who could steer you in the right
It was more
direction.
open-minded and not closed.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Say anything?
Yeah, fully agree with all of that. And as you say, as Guy always used to say, stuff on things. I miss stuff on things. That's why I still buy CDs. It's me being a lad, I'll fully admit that, but I've never really got on board with streaming stuff in the same way.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got access to Netflix. I don't have a Spotify account. I find it kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But what, as like Tim was saying, you'll get the blockbusters in, the literal big, you know, your Mission Impossibles and so on. But then you'll get that one film that you'll get 3 copies of and you go, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I mean, and suddenly you've got a new favourite for that week. And because it's there in front of you and it's a physical thing you can pick up and interact with, I mean, it's a disc, but you've also got the box and the artwork. And so much stuff I'm sold on the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm just lazily scrolling through Netflix going, it's a thing, it's a thing, it's another thumbnail, it's another thumbnail. Yes, it can play the trailer fairly quickly, but...
It's not the same as it's not in
It's
front of you.
not the same as me. And if I'm not sure, then I can go... I can wander around Blockbuster and I can pick up that box.
Yeah.
And I can pick up this one, and then I can hold the 3 in front of me and go, okay, which of these am I actually going to... I can read through it, I can see who's in it, I can look at the production company, I can just get much more of a vibe from it, and then I can turn to Phil, or I can turn to you, I can turn to whoever else, you know.
Yeah.
This is why we all have those physical copies. It's almost a time capsule for us, because like when you look back, when you look for something that's on streaming sites, it's not like going back in time. It's just having a memory. But there's something about holding a physical item time capsules it to a point where if you can touch it, if you can feel it,
Yeah.
it's like going back more.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I've been obviously working from home for the past however long. And yeah, I've been streaming so much music through YouTube. And then I thought the other day, I've got a stack of about 40, 50 music DVDs that haven't seen the light of day in a decade. So I went into my spare room and I pulled out, and the act of looking at, it's gatefold, cardboard, really nice artwork, physically putting the DVD in, great quality, probably better quality than the streaming quality is. And then having that it's live concerts I was watching, but actually having that process, as it were, of I wasn't just turning on the Xbox and clicking a button. I was physically picking up something, placing a disc, and it really connects with me so much more. And I can then enjoy it and get that feedback so much more kind of vociferously.
Yeah, it's going back to what Phil was saying about the nostalgia of having why you still got those DVDs. I mean, like I said, I still have Blair Witch 2 because it's got rental copy written on it. So it's there. Yeah. Anything else you want to add in?
No.
Anything? No?
Sadly missed.
No. But yeah, sadly missed. Was it 7 years now? Still missing.
Yeah, over 7 years.
2011, wasn't it? Oh, 2013.
13,
yeah.
Do you
Grant.
think it will ever be bought back in? Do you think someone
There's
somewhere
one
will
left.
just buy it? Because there is one left, isn't there?
One left in America.
And that's in that
Or
Alaska or something.
Yeah,
I thought
Oregon or something.
Oregon.
Oh, Oregon, yeah.
But it's only by name, it's not by the company.
No, the company's gone.
ethos.
It's taken the name. And
There is a Twitter account which is The Last Blockbuster, and I don't know if they are legitimately.
That's a documentary, though, isn't it? They're doing
That's
a documentary on that.
No,
aren't they?
this is a joke account, and it is.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Hilarious. I'll send you the link to it later. But
I
think there's a few standalone. I think there's some down in Mexico or something bizarre as well.
I think you're
Really?
right.
But they're independent. They're kind of franchise but independent. So there is no Blockbuster corporate to belong to anymore. So they kind of operate
Viva la
off
Blockbuster.
that.
Sleeper cells.
So I'm going to
And
Mexico.
one day it's going to bloom again.
I said we all should go to Mexico and then work at Blockbusters down there.
I would genuinely go on a road trip to the one in the States.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I would take my uniform for sure. Walk
I've
in
still
with
got
Have you still got
mine.
yours?
Yeah.
Of course
So
I have.
uniforms?
Yeah.
I've got my name badge. I've got my little gold.
My name badge.
I've definitely got the name
Got
badge.
my
Gold
gold
pin.
star thing.
I've got some posters. And
I must
standees.
have some of the old polo shirts somewhere.
I've got one blue polo shirt and I've got one jumper.
I burned mine in effigy.
Oh, devastating.
Yeah, I would.
It's only because they wouldn't give me new ones.
Can you imagine though if we went on a road trip when we were allowed out and we turned up in
Make it sound like we've got to get permission from parents. Can we come out, Mum?
in uniform, turn up like the whole as many of the.
Dude, they
Blockbuster
think we'll be
crew.
robbing them or something.
Classified as a cult.
V for Vendetta.
Maybe,
Yeah.
But then turn up and like, what's the code for the Dropbox? I'll do some returns.
Yeah, Phil do the FOS.
Because I can guarantee
I'm not doing
you,
it. I call not hoovering. I'm just saying that now. I call not
guarantee you the
hoovering.
system won't have been updated.
No chance.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I have a question. I want to pick your brains on this. Who remembers the code for the Dropbox? I cannot for the life of me remember it. There was a code, and I cannot remember. It was a 6-digit code, I
It
think.
was CZ and
Oh.
then
It was an
CZ,
R. on the
I
end.
I think
Wasn't
it's
it
I think
R?
it's 3478.
You might be
Because you
right.
press two buttons together.
That's right.
two
The
That
C
buttons.
sounds
and R.
about right.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Wasn't it like in a form of like a kind of upside down crucifix, like the way you did? Like, I'm more of a person who remembers the
diagram.
Yeah, like the back.
The shape,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the shape of a swastika.
I know that the safe codes are variably Grant's kids' birthdays and his own.
Right, anyone that knows the safe combination now?
That's it. To a safe that's not there.
Wonder what
Oh, just no,
Do you
one
think
more
that
question.
safe is still there.
One more question before we go.
Yeah.
Has anyone actually stepped into Iceland since
No,
then?
no.
Yeah, and I spit on the floor.
Have you been in there?
It's a disgrace. It's like it completely ripped the soul out of the place. And if you notice when you go there, it feels a lot smaller. I don't
Really?
know what they've done. It's they probably they don't allow their members of staff to talk or something. But it just feels like a little bit of like a regime after you go to
1984.
a place and they've completely like
Yeah.
got rid of the original kind of plaques of remembrance of
Yeah.
things. Like I say, there's not even a bench.
Hey, I'm
to
surprised you've gone in
commemorate,
there.
Yeah.
just to say that there was a store here that existed and brought pleasure to the
I
community.
really want to see what they did out the back because that back storage area was so weird. And
yeah.
I had a little hidey hole, my Dawn of the Dead loft.
I don't.
It was where the old aircon was, and there was pretty much bugger all else up there apart from the condemned air conditioning unit.
You stop going on about the aircon. We
but-
get it. There wasn't any.
No, I know. But because it was above a ceiling tile, so you had to take the ceiling tile out. And one of my favourite zombie movies is Ant Knows, is the original Dawn of the Dead, where they built a false wall to hide behind. So
Okay.
So I always said if the zombie invasion broke out, I'd go to Blockbuster because they had load of food, load of drink. That was all pre-packed stuff. It wasn't going to go.
We could
on.
just watch movies whilst this whole pandemic went.
Watch movies while it was quiet, and then if something was getting invaded, obviously the doors would be locked.
Dude, could you imagine us in lockdown in the
thing is,
Blockbuster
the-
It'd be
store?
crazy.
The food would just be candy, so we'd slowly be getting diabetes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And someone's going to have to go out the store to get some insulin.
yeah.
But you can
Need-
munch
need
through towards
protein.
Lidl.
Well, back in the day, Wally climbed through a hole in the ceiling from that air conditioning space into Tempo.
No way! I heard about that. Is that true?
It was just breeze block wall, and there was a gap where the girder had run through, and a couple of the blocks had come out. So he climbed through, and then came downstairs and
Shut
scared
up.
the crap out of them in Tempo. Where have you gone? Next door.
Nice.
Yeah, I was always going to go and hide
some
there, and then
shallow grave
I
right
could
there.
put the ceiling tile back in once I was up there with my vanilla
I
Coke
wonder
and
because you
popcorn.
referenced Dawn of the Dead in the notes earlier, and I was wondering what they was coming into.
man.
Now, obviously, no.
That was it.
Yeah, it's definitely a place to go if an apocalypse happens, or the dinosaurs are back, or aliens invade.
Yeah.
It was Blockbuster was
Yeah.
the place because, like you say, locked doors. Size got weaponry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't talk about, but we
Chap
would
Hunter
have
axe.
gone
Just a
there,
small armoury.
and
Yeah.
it would have been every man for themselves, but within the store. So we'd all obviously equally look after each
Yeah,
other.
but would we have the helicopter landing? Would we paint it on the rooftop, or would we want to say SOS or anything, or would we just say nothing and just keep it to ourselves? Would we want to be rescued, or do you think we could handle it?
Depends what the is it. Is this against a zombie apocalypse?
This is
or-
what we're on about, yeah. So it's like either
What kind of zombies? No, this is
Exactly, yeah,
It's too
so-
deep a conversation. We'll have to do. We'll have to do.
okay.
A
Let's
part
go
two.
Danny Boyle 28 days later, like the ones that you're screwed in. You
Okay.
need
I
help.
would at least corrugate the front of the store where the windows were with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd either
Yeah,
put
just
trolleys.
all the
and-
internal shelving units. you
Yeah,
just
so I'd
smash them.
blockade the front doors and then obviously utilise the rest of the store as a kind of safe house.
Yeah.
And then the attic as a double, insurance policy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's another story. I digress.
That's for part 2 Blockbuster.
You tell we've thought about
Right, so I just want to say a big thank you for coming on to this episode, guys, and reliving some of those memories with you. It's
man,
good
it's
to
been
see you
great.
all
I
again.
enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
so much. So yeah, guys, if you want to continue listening to us on the M.T.V.B podcast, you can follow us on Facebook, which is the M.T.V.B podcast, or on Instagram at M.T.V.B podcast. And this is to subscribe to be notified when future episodes are available. So I want to say again one more time, thank you very much, guys. And this is the M.T.V.B podcast, and this is the Ant-Man signing off.
I'll be due back Tuesday before 9.